Hello, hello. Well, let's do this. Like, ooh, we back, we back, we back. Anyway, so Sunday comic therapy is starting. We're all patients in here, by the way. There's no specialists. All you in the commenting, you are gonna be our doctors. So for Sunday, we here. Sorry for time change in schedule. Never always works like. I forget how to do it properly, how to actually talk to people. So it's they two faults. I blame them for not appearing and when I want them to appear
Yeah.
to do this chat. Anyway, schedule say live.
Yeah, it's true.
You can't just have it all. Anyway, so so we all here, the same people, my channel, thankfully. Anyway, to do some showing in my channel feed. It's kind of a shit. I am shit at doing anything like that anyway lately. I guess I have to pick up a pace or something, make up some crap.
Well, you do this every Sunday that we're available, so that's a big commitment by itself, right?
Yeah, and then don't get sick from Terence's
Flippy
way of
floppy
dealing
crack.
with camera. If you see us puking just in a second, don't worry, it's all fine. We're just having a bit of vertigo.
Yeah. I'm here.
So I watched the trailer for the Usagi Yojimbo kids show.
What? Is it out?
And
What? I didn't
It
know.
looked awful. It
Oh,
looked
no.
so bad.
Looks really
It's-
bad. Yeah, I was. I saw the same thing.
I was
Okay.
so sad when I saw that. It's nothing at all to do with Usagi Yojimbo except for a little bit of the look of what the animals look like.
No.
It's set in the future, and there's a bunch of teenage animals who have to go on a quest together, and each one gets a magic item, and they all make fun of each other.
Yeah.
It's just a generic kids TV show. It might
Yeah.
be perfectly fine for that, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna make Usagi Yojimbo a household name or anything like that.
Oh
Yeah,
my
for sure.
God. How disappointing is that?
Yeah.
How? Why? Why would you do that? Such a. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Stan Sakai already. If is that what your
Well,
trailer
Stan
looks
has
like?
publicly said, "Oh, it's looking really good, and I'm working closely with them." But I wonder either
Mm.
they told him they were going to take his ideas and didn't, or if he's just putting a brave face on it.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, or they're just gearing it towards, like you're saying, maybe they're gearing it specifically towards being more of a kids show, as opposed to, hey, this is a direct translation from the book, right? So, or the books rather.
Well, that is true, and I didn't expect it to be 1-to-1.
Right.
But I did. I just feel like there's nothing there from the book
Yeah.
that I could see in the trailer.
Except the name, that was it. Hey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey,
That's fine.
Andrew and AFPC.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
I wonder if AFPC will make some more videos someday. I was double checking his channel in case I'd missed anything.
Yeah.
Because I miss a lot.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
feed goes away sometimes, and usually, oh yeah, I'm gonna check it, and then you suddenly just like 2 weeks passes, and like, what happened? There's too much
Yeah.
videos around me, so sift through is difficult. Although
Yeah.
I think I find it much more sufficient for me through like PC or whatever, like a laptop, because but I only watch it via like my television. So it's my YouTube viewing is usually television wise, so it's a very different way of like sifting through the things I'm doing,
Right.
like
Right.
seeing.
Right.
So very different experiences from what you see on your telly and what you see actually on computer,
Yeah, and different. I do it mostly on my iPad, and it's different than
Yeah,
on
as
the
well. That
computer.
iPad as well. Yeah, it's another thing. It's completely different as well. So all platforms seems to be different feels to it. Anyway, so have we watched Moon Knight?
Mhm.
Yes.
No.
And of course Damien not doesn't have time for this Moon Knight.
Got to keep my my record of not watching anything pure.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you're doing a grand job, David. Grand job. But
I'm hearing good things. Did you guys like it?
yes,
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really liked I guess everybody's oh. Yeah, we're going through Tom King's catalog. Well, I don't think I want to talk about Tom King's writing. But yeah, Moon Knight. Talking about Moon Knight, I thoroughly enjoyed, and I think Oscar Isaacs is really good. And so far, that first episode is spot on. And the bathroom scene, that was fantastic. That was just a tipping
really
point
good.
of saying I was really excited about that. So really love it. What do you think about it, Terrence?
Yeah, I loved it. We watched it with Lillian. I thought it might be too scary for her, and it turned out that was true. She hid most of the time, and then she said, "Yeah, no, I don't think this one's for me." So we're gonna reprieve her from that. But I loved it. I thought it was great. Again, it's another character I don't know a ton about, so I know that usually helps going into these things. But Oscar Isaacs is a fantastic actor, and I think he really pulled it off. Right, like it was entertaining. It was not what I expected, which is always well, not always, but sometimes that works out for the best. And I liked the kind of like a little bit more horror-ish elements to it. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, the scenes where he was chased by the god, he was basically, and then the scenes were actually really scary. I was like intense. Like, I was like, I'm not I like you guys know probably I'm not a scary movie fanatic because otherwise I'm not gonna sleep. And funny enough, I had nightmare after watching that episode about something completely different. But yeah, it's really well done. I like the camera angles. I like location so far. His accent, English accent, I wouldn't say it's the strongest, but he does portray English accent kind of well, I think. But yeah, the justice for that kind of stuff. But very good. It's very versatile, which is so fantastic for the Moon Knight, especially you need kind of this character needs this, especially those split personalities. You definitely needed somebody who's able to pull it off, like all sort of crazy stuff. And Damien, are you familiar with Moon Knight more than I am, and Terrence? Because I'm not really that much familiar.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with him from the old days. Like if they've changed him a lot, I don't know. I wouldn't know, but I read him back in the 80s. The Bill Sienkiewicz period and that kind of stuff.
That's the beautiful one. Apparently, everybody's raving about that era.
And I think the character has multiple personalities or personas. I don't know if they do that in the show.
Yeah, they do.
And so it's kind of like it started as kind of a variation on Batman, but they added these layers that are different from Batman that I think were nice.
What I've heard, whatever they read a little bit about what the intentions are, it seems to be they are intending to be quite scary. And a lot of like things like Disney is not really supposed to be portraying that because Disney is associated with kiddie stuff, not kind of scary stuff like that. But interesting. I mean, they changed some of the scenes from Bucky series with the Captain America, like with the I forgot the name of that flying guy,
Falcon.
Yeah, there you go. They apparently changed a couple of scary scenes from that TV series, which is kind of like odd because there wasn't really much comparing to Moon Knight. Really, nothing to compare, to be honest. So yeah, we'll see how they're gonna go. Yeah, there you go. Even that panelists agreeing that Isaacs is a great actor. Really enjoyed his performance.
He was good in that Coen Brothers movie too. He really did a great job in it. Yeah.
Terrence, everybody's praising your camera action, so maybe it's a hint, and maybe you should continue.
10 times
a lot of phones have better cameras than anything else.
Yeah, very good. Anyway, so this is just for you. Everybody's like enjoying your clarity, seeing your face.
Yeah, sorry, I can't see any of the chat at all. I don't know how to lay it out on this thing, so I'm
Rossa will have to display the chat for you.
Well, then, wow. Now you have to.
Yeah, come on, Rossa, display all the praise. Come on, what are you doing? I got to feed my ego here.
Well, I'm just gonna read about your Chinese series.
It was done in the style of Kung Fu Panda in a lot of ways.
I'm a fan of Kung Fu Panda. I really did. But
it may turn out to be a perfectly good kid show. I just don't think like if a kid watches that show and then goes to read Usagi Yojimbo comics, they're not going to feel like they're getting the same thing
Yeah, right.
in any way.
No.
Yeah.
And I was when talking about just TV shows, I went crazy a little bit for Star Trek. We caught up, me and my husband, with Star Trek Next Generations, which I absolutely love. I'm a Star Trek fan, so
By
really good.
catching up with Next Generations, do you mean watching till the final episode?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I watched like 4 and 5 times. So yeah, I am that kind of like, it's the only series probably I'm watching that many times. And then I always enjoy it. My husband is like falls asleep. So this and my company is like, yeah, let's watch. And it's not 5 minutes later. It's like, okay, great.
do you start from the first season or do you jump to the third season when it starts getting really good?
I start from the beginning. I always do. Even though it's a little bit, you can sense it, like, like I've watched it before. So it's always kind of thing, like I know exactly what's going to come up, but then you forget. Some episodes you forget, and I like it. It's just a good surprise. And I like the acting, to be honest. And how they improve from season 1 to season 7. It's unbelievable. It's like just proper. And of course, the Patrick Stewart, the Picard series started it, which was a bit confusing for me, even as a fan. But they went, I don't know if you guys watching that series.
I haven't, no.
But I had to watch it before, like whatever it come to, because we canceled our Amazon subscription, which is actually I'm really pleased about. It's like, yay, no more Amazon. Even though quite hard to deal with after that. I knew why we were getting it, because there was some stuff you want to order in this little small town, and everything needs to be online. And it's kind of chore to find it just from random websites. But anyway, so that's why we were catching up to the Picard until the subscription had to end. So that's why I watched it. So I really enjoy it so far. It's actually good. It's picking up the pace. Quite slower series of that kind of stuff. So anyway, but I really I enjoyed the actor a lot, and in his such an old age. So from Next Generation to that, is such a jaw-dropping differences. Even his voice is more gnarly and all that stuff because of his age at the end of the day.
Right.
And he said also in an interview that it's a very different experience when you're in that age doing something like this task, like like you get really, really exhausted, and he does get really, really exhausted from doing it. But
yeah,
I guess it's his one song for the Star Trek stuff. So for the Picard and in generally as a character, I think, if I remember that clearly.
Yeah.
How
old is he? How old is he now? Is he in his 70s or?
I think 80s, to be honest, because I don't know.
Oh, wow.
To be
Yeah.
He must not have been very young when they did the original. I would think he was in his 50s then or something.
Yeah, exactly. So let me type Patrick Stewart. Is that his name? I always double
Patrick
guess.
Stewart. Yep.
I always double guess when they go live. It's just like everything just goes.
Names especially go away when you're in front of a camera.
So he's 81. I told you. I was right.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, wow. Yeah. So crazy. Anyway, anybody watched anything else entertaining? Something to share with good people?
We're still in the season 3 of Twin Peaks.
Oh,
so I'm rewatching it and then watching it with my son and wife. And we watched the infamous episode 8 last night, which is kind of like the episode that people end up talking about from that newest season. And seeing it again, this is the second time I'm seeing it. It's still just as mind-blowing as the first time I saw it. Like it's really David Lynch at his absolute prime. It's unbelievable that he can still put out something that's so unique and very much his own to like a mass audience. My wife was kind of like, I don't know what the hell that was, and she wasn't really digging it. But the thing is, though, the fact that he has that audience and he's getting that stuff out there to people that normally wouldn't be exposed to stuff that's like well off the beaten path is pretty. It's pretty remarkable. It's pretty. It's great. I love watching it again. It's such a good show. Speaking of like 25 years in the future, that's what this is, right? So It's 25 years later, seeing everybody, and it's really, really great stuff. Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
I actually haven't yet begun watching season 3 because I am really not. I haven't seen it in a while. And then
Yep.
just because you get so distracted by all the stuff, like, like how many things can I watch? And it's like, I
Yeah.
actually really do want it because I really enjoyed it when they were coming out, and I was freaking out. And that log lady, will never forget
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
She's always like just carrying that log everywhere, even though it's
Yeah.
funny now maybe for me, but in that time I was feeling like, wow, that's really odd way of telling the character in that time when I was watching it. So yeah, she got stuck in there. And of course that initial murder of the girl, so it was kind of like
Yeah.
jaw-dropping for me in that time, I guess.
Yeah.
Just
Totally.
enjoy it. I think it's one
Well,
of the
that's the thing. I
James.
mean, it is a dark story. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's a dark story, but done and told and just so unique. So very unique.
Mhm. Yeah. And let's say hello to Jackie. Thank you for turning
Hello,
up.
Jackie O.
And then he said that Twin Peaks season 3 was crazy. So, well,
Sure
maybe.
was, or sure
Yes.
is.
AFPC brought up the union news at Amazon.
Yes, I wanted to
Yep.
show that. This is great for you.
Maybe if the union starts spreading to all of Amazon, then Terrence can actually use Amazon. And what's the other?
Maybe.
Book
You know what? I never
depository.
actually thought about that. I'll probably still write them off, but yeah, that's a step in the right direction for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really incredible news, that. And then I think Starbucks is gaining some ground too. So I think it's going to spark off a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm surprised, to be honest. Like, I didn't think, especially going back with Amazon the second time, I didn't think there was a chance in hell, but they did it, which it's incredible, man. It's really incredible.
It's interesting to me on Staten Island too, which is considered the Republican stronghold of New York City.
Mhm.
Right.
But yeah, so I wonder if that spreads. And it makes sense because there's been, all these labor shortages. It's a good time for labor to consolidate their rights.
Yep.
I worked for
hopefully
Starbucks.
it will spread.
I worked for Starbucks for quite a grand amount of years, to be honest. But I, in the UK, and they were kind of a little bit different to what I was hearing in America's kind of rights ways. It had two different countries, different rules, I guess, but still managed to they were taxing us so much, and they weren't paying tax themselves, which is interesting. So. And finding that out after a while, but then I quit. But they did well upon me, like when I quit. So that was good enough, that reason. But yeah, company's crazy. They have standards to, they use you until they end, really. And I was managing one of the shops. My end song for the working for the company, I managed to step up all the way to the management. But Jesus, when I became manager, I did not see my husband or boyfriend that time, to be honest. He was like, I was working 70, sometimes 80 hours a week. It was crazy times. But because tasks related stuff, like it's crazy. They give you such a high ups, like like you have to achieve this upon your name, and it's everything just like it's your name. And you're like, what the hell, man? I'm working for you guys. You're supposed to support me.
Yeah.
Support me here. I'm doing something I can. And I was working in the most crime-related area in that time, where I was seeing drugs, people shooting up, and calling ambulance daily, and having police to talk about daily, and writing reports. So my daily days was like that: writing reports, calling police, and calling ambulance. Used to be like, I'm not making coffees. I'm not making coffees. Why I'm not making coffee? So something like that. Yeah, it was an interesting experience, I must say.
I think Starbucks makes it even that little bit harder, though, because I don't know how it is for you, but here I know that each individual Starbucks store, while they're part of a chain, obviously each is independently owned. And I think they have some incentives for the employees where you're sort of considered like, not quite a shareholder, that's not the proper term, but you're a team. They really push this attitude of that this is our store and these kind of things. So they make it personal. And I find in our job, when people take their job where they feel that they're a part of it, you can kind of sometimes get away with a little bit more as far as kind of taking advantage of people, like you're saying, working those long hours because you feel that you have more of a part to it. You have more of a part to play. But And I know that they've been getting a lot of grief there too. Some of the people that are pro-union, some of the shops and stuff, or some of the, individual stores sending people in to kind of, be anti-union and management in and switching people out. And, so I think they've got a hard go of it. Not that Amazon had an easy go of it, but they've got a hard go of it. And something that Damien was saying, it's something I tell the members of our union all the time. It's absolutely a labor market. They need us more than we need them. And I think it's time that all the employees and all labor comes to recognize that without us, you ain't doing shit. You're not shipping anything. You ain't packing anything. Nobody's selling your fucking coffee. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's nice to see workers kind of empowered a little bit more and realizing that coming out of a pandemic, right?
Well, I don't know. It's exactly. It's been quite a while now since I was part of the Starbucks things, but they kind of I used to call it brainwash. We all managers used to call it brainwash when they used to go to these grand meetings. And they start telling us what they're gonna do if it's this there, just encouraging you, and then you feel like you are really in a good mood and sense until you land back to your shop and you're suddenly like, oh, that's what they meant.
It sounded so nice before the reality was there.
It's they had those people to come in to basically show you such a great picture of the future, and you're being part of it, and you do get shares. When I was employed, I straight from the beginning, I got shares from Starbucks. So it grew since I was part of these things. And that was great because I wasn't even aware of shares. I mean, that wasn't my part of my education. It was just a really bad thing. And that's why I was talking to my mom lately. Lots of missed opportunities for us, like my generation especially, teaching us how to see the future rather than just go day by day. In my country, you look at day by day first, and then future. Let's hope you'll survive the future. I mean, you never know what's going to happen next because of situational things will happen in my country. So historically, I guess that's how the educational part went until, you see the freedom of the country, and then you see the educational parts improving because you're seeing other people's examples, other countries' examples. But it's such a missed opportunity, for myself, especially my future. I wish I was taught how to buy shares, why I'm buying shares, with this kind of stuff, which didn't happen, of course. But hey, at least that part of it I kind of learned slightly with Starbucks, but that's the only good thing I can remember, to be honest. Otherwise, it was just crazy customers and crazy people I met, who comes in the coffee shop and you never expect that this is kind of stories you can come up with. I was thinking, sometimes I talk to people and they think you sure you're not making this shit up? It's nope, man. I don't have pictures. I didn't have time to take pictures in that time. But yeah, that fucking happened.
Yeah.
Life experiences you never forget.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Are we ready to talk comics?
Sure.
Yeah. And who's brave enough to start? Well, there you go. You point fingers upwards. Now it's your turn.
I guess I'll be volunteered.
Oh, wow. See, Damien. Okay,
so you can put my little magic screen up now.
Okay, so add. Is this the one? Yes. Okay.
Yes. So you can see what I've been reading right here. This is the digital version of Dark Horse's collection of the Bernie Wrightson creepy stories. And I read half of it so far.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out if I have the physical somewhere and have just misplaced it. But at some point, I used to, when I first started digital comics, back in 2010, that sucked me back into comics in a big way. I bought huge amounts of stuff from Dark Horse, and I'm still going back to my Dark Horse app and going, oh, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really, if I don't have the physical collection, I need to buy it. This is a really incredible collection of just, I think, everything that Wrightson did for creepy and eerie. Not as much as I thought it was, but the very first thing he did was this Edgar Allan Poe's Black Cat, I guess, and it blew Jim Warren's mind how good it was, according to the introduction by Bruce Jones. And so basically, once Jim Warren saw this comic, he was begging Bernie Wrightson to do more work for the Warren comics.
Yeah.
And you can see why. I mean, the amount of detail and just
Yeah.
how nice it looks is in every panel.
Yep.
And it's an Edgar Allan Poe story about a guy whose cat drives him crazy and he kills his wife as a result.
Oh my god.
And then he tries to hide his wife's body in a wall, but the cat gets in the wall too, and the cat's meowing gives him away. But this is just,
Wow, look at that
it's
scene.
just amazing artwork.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, but this
And I
this
think-
stuff impossible to find in print anymore. For sure.
So difficult.
Yeah, I don't know if this book is currently in print. I mean, it's still available digitally. And of course, you can find the back issues. At least around here, Creepy and Eerie aren't too expensive, except for the early issues. But it takes some work to find the right issues.
Yeah.
Also, with such, I'll have to look and see if I have some of the original issues. With such fine line work, I wonder how good it looks on the newsprint. So I think ideally would be to find this hardback that it came out in.
So do you think they were working on this art before we were printing on a paper, like enhanced it again, like made it a little bit more like pop in? Like when, I don't know, that's the thing. I've not seen the printed version.
Oh, you think it might be digitally enhanced or something?
Oh, it looks very clean and, you know, like in very white. Okay, because it's
Right. Well, this is the digital version, of course.
Yeah.
I think it looks, I mean, obviously when I get Creepy and Eerie, it's on newsprint and it's old and yellow and a little, you know, the blinds are a little less sharp.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
So,
Yes. Look at those faces. Oh, that
but
looks
it's
great.
also interesting because he does it. Not every story is in the same style. We'll get to the next story. Is a different style. This one looks much more like Frank Frazetta, I thought. This one is a really creepy story because it's about this hideously ugly woman named, what was she named? Jennifer.
And Jennifer.
And she kind of hypnotizes these men. They can't help but help her, but she makes their lives get awful. So the hero finds someone who's trying to kill her because Jennifer has taken over his life, and he kills the man and hides the body. And then he brings Jennifer back to his family, and she just makes everything so awful. His family leaves him, but he can't leave Jennifer. And so basically that cycle of the story just continues.
Right.
The art's very cool, but anyway, as you can see, it's more gray tones. There's sort of softer lines and stuff. So Reiston is always doing something a little different. And sometimes I'll completely forget that he's got this Frazetta side to him. But in this story, to me, it really looked like Frank Frazetta art and Frank Frazetta drawings that I've seen.
That looks great.
Looks like you use it more shadowing in here.
And then this one it's hard for me to describe, but it's yet another style that's more painterly, I guess. And again, about someone being haunted by some corpse-like woman. I think that's all Bruce Jones. I think those are Bruce Jones stories. So maybe we can ask Bruce Jones's various wives how things went. But because he was married to Louise Jones, who then became Louise Simonson.
Oh yes, and they are still good friends apparently. But
and I think he's had some other wives. But he's a writer I respect a lot. But but here, like with the snow and stuff, there's a lot of negative and positive space, and just kind of each panel looks to me almost like a black and white painting.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And the text is more of almost like a poem or a fairy tale. And you get the story. By the end of the story, it's like, who's the corpse and who's the real living person? We don't even know anymore. And that's all in the art. So the art, the art is crucial to making these stories really work. And so then there's two stories where he inked Carmine Infantino, famous for the Silver Age Flash, and then as the editor-in-chief of DC back when they stole Jack Kirby away from Marvel. And apparently, after he was fired from DC, he fell on really hard times, according to the intro. And Jim Warren kind of felt sorry for him and was trying to give him work. And to help him along, Bruce Jones and Bernie Wrightson decided to help him. So they wrote some stories for him with Bernie doing the inking to sort of get him into the right kind of look for eerie and creepy. And I remember I read this story as a kid, and I didn't get entirely how creepy it was. This guy is picking up these hitchhikers on the street, and the girl is like a really young teenager, and he's trying to seduce her while telling her she reminds him of his daughter. And there's this narration about a psychic working with the police trying to find a killer, and we're thinking it's him, but of course it turns out to be her. So she seduces older men, and then her brother conks them with a rock, and then they tie a rock to their legs and throw them in the river. So he goes under and finds all these corpses floating with him. But then at the last minute, the police with this psychic rescue him and arrest the kids. But I still can't help feeling that they've rescued a rapist. But you're going to be fine now, Mr. Clark. Just take it easy. So that ends in a really creepy way. And the combination of the two artists is perfectly good, but it's not nearly as exciting to me as Bernie Wrightson. His wife's name is Jennifer. That's funny. And then there's another one which I liked even better, actually, that's drawn by or penciled by Infantino. Maybe it's more suited for Infantino because it's about this kid reading pulp comics and this magical invisible friend who's reading the pulp fiction stories with him. And it's just kind of a I don't know, bittersweet story about a kid who's dying, and some magical creature kind of helps him out, helps him get through his death, but he does die.
Oh, lovely.
You can see here where they've created the pages from the pulp magazine, kind of made them a bit more like comics.
They look great.
And then a completely different thing where this one, I also read this one as a kid. And I remember being super impressed by this. Every panel is like, every page is like this with these just long panels. Nice. And the text is in the form of a rhyming poem about a guy stranded on Mars who's running out of oxygen. And again, the pictures tell at least as much of the story as the words. In fact, you could probably read it without the words. Yeah.
I love those long panels. I think we've talked about them in the past, but I love the look of it.
It has the feel of like art prints or something in a way.
Yeah.
Each panel you could hang on the wall.
Yeah.
So it's another incredible piece. It ends with an eerie, creepy kind of twist where the guy's about to have sex with the female Martian and he runs out of oxygen and dies.
Right.
Although there was a lot of sexual stuff in Creepy and Eerie, it was usually frustrated sexual stuff, which probably meant that it was aimed at an audience of about 16 or something.
Yeah.
That's how I think of it, which is about the age I probably, or 14, 15, 16 is when I used to get these magazines. And this one was kind of back to the Frank Frazetta-ish looking. I don't know, a little bit different also. More of a goofy story about two guys who think they're going to get rich. AFPC likes the later Infantino. I remember, well, maybe it's kind of mid-level Infantino in the late 70s. I did not like very much, but maybe I should go back and look at that again. But I didn't see his work on licensed products. But I guess he kind of fell quite a bit after being I didn't realize what a hard time he had hit after DC. I guess they probably blamed him for bad sales or whatever, and wouldn't even let him work there for a while.
Wow.
So this one is more just kind of your goofy horror story where they're they're trying to find these intelligent ape-like creatures, and the guy kills one and puts its skin on him to try to attract more. But at the end, one of the ape-like creatures skins him and puts his skin on it.
Wow, look at that scene. Yeah.
And that's
crazy.
as far as I've got. So next time, maybe
Great.
I'll tell you about the stories from Erie.
Mhm.
So that's about half of the book. But I don't know. I'm kind of glad that I hope to have it both physically and digitally.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's just such rich art. You can enjoy it in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very cool. I love it.
Okay, cool. All right. Lovely. Mr. Terrence, do you want to share something?
I don't know, man. Maybe I'll start big. I just finished this today. I
Big.
read half of it last night. So it's Legend of the Scarlet Blades from it's a Humanoids release from
Oh.
artist writer
nice.
Sabiero Tenuta. I think it originally came out in 2011, and this is a 2021. 2021 Humanoids edition. And it's so good. The exciting thing about it now, once that I finished it, the exciting thing about it was seeing that there's 4 other books that take place in the same universe, which is fantastic. These books about Azuna. These are these kind of wolf creatures, these gods, and then this Mask of Fudo. He was one of the characters in the story, sort of like one of the bad guys ish. So I guess we'll get a bit of history about his life. So it's this kind of samurai sort of tale. This guy who has no memory of his youth and his relationship to kind of the land. And he's growing up with this family with a kind of deformed daughter. And we just start to slowly unravel and see kind of the history and find out who they are and find out who the father was and find out he starts kind of tapping into these lost memories that he has once he kind of goes on this journey. He discovers this woman. She's a puppeteer, and in her presence, the voices in his head stop because he gets all this kind of constant talking in his head. So you're not quite sure starting out, is this guy just some nut job? But it turns out they're pretty linked, even down to their youth by the time you find out at the end and everything is revealed. It's really, really well told, and it's gorgeously illustrated. Like, the art is really stunning stuff. So I don't know if you can see that there. Really beautiful. It feels like, it's hard to tell. I mean, because there's parts that look hand done, and then there will be some textures and things that look digital, like in his mouth there, like that almost has kind of a digital feel to it, but it blurs the line really nicely. But it's a really, really great story. This one takes up, I guess there was 4 different books, so it all gets compiled in here. We get some of these great landscape shots as well too. And I mean, it's all of this stuff is right in my wheelhouse, right? Like Japan, samurais, there's some monsters kind of in here. There's, some good battles. He's lost his arm and he has lost an eye. So we start to find out more of, where he comes from. And honestly, the way that the story is paced, I think it's done so well. You really get enough information in each of the 4 chapters that keeps you wanting to go through it. And by the end of it, I was completely invested. I was completely drawn in. The last 2 chapters read really quick this morning because of just how absorbed I was in the story and just really wanted to know where the hell this thing was going and how it was going to end, right? So I'm really on the lookout for the rest. I don't know anything about the character. Speaking of Wrightson, there's a Wrightson-ish kind of set of eyes.
Very much
So I don't know anything about this artist. I didn't look up anything yet. Look it up tonight to see what else he's done. But this is well worth it if you can find it. I mean, humanoids, as I think we all know, there can be some hit and misses. I was also surprised to see, it's something that Jodorowsky hasn't written. Somebody else is doing it. That was a nice
Sometimes
change
it seems like he's the only writer in France or something.
Yeah, it sometimes feels like that for sure. So, but I mean, yeah, you can just see there. And I mean, I love stuff that takes place in the winter. I love all the snow. The color palette in this is really beautiful as well with these
Yeah, very
reds.
nice.
Again, it's all those landscapes are just beautiful. Really, really well done. So, I mean, I won't show you too much more. That was basically in chapter 1. I don't want to show you too much further than that because it really is something that there's so much that happens and there's so much potential spoilers that I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
Looks
but
incredible.
needless to say, yeah, grab this if you can find it. Legend of the
So
Starlit
is this all 4 books together?
Correct. Okay. Yeah, that's correct.
I think I got the second volume and I was just kind of confused. I liked the art, but I couldn't figure out everything.
Yeah, no, this collects everything there, so well worth it. What was I don't know if you can see that there. It says $25 US, $34 Canadian. So $25 for a soft cover. That ain't too bad.
For that much material, yeah. At that high quality. That's really good.
Yeah, and I mean, everything is reproduced beautifully. The cardstock cover, like, it's really thick. It's really heavy duty. What can we say about, your usual binding? It is a trade, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it doesn't sit totally flat, but I didn't find it did any harm because they do leave a nice border around everything so you don't get that gutter loss. And there isn't any, not that I remember anyway, I don't think there's any 2-page spreads throughout this. So you're not really missing anything when it comes to that, right? So
very good.
Simple stuff.
Cool. Very nice.
That's definitely my highlight read of the week by a long shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. That's nice. Yeah. So I wanted to. I don't know why I don't mentioning that much or often. Oh, Chaos! You missed a whole lot. Go rewind now and go rewatch. It was such important information you just missed. So shame.
Just more random comic talk.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I don't tend to really. I don't know why I'm not really much mentioning this, but I'm fully immersed in this world. Eastman and Campbell now in writing duties, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been with me since issue 30. Of course, I never started from the beginning. It's exactly happens with me.
What issue is that? What issue are you on now?
127. Yeah, 127. So I've been.
So you've been reading it a long time.
Yeah.
Yes. And I am glad. I don't pick up annuals. Annual just came out, but I don't pick up annuals on purpose because I tend to always think they are just there for like an extra maybe story. Sometimes I miss out on really good stories, and I heard maybe they would be. But this, spoiler alert, it's a first appearance comic, so go buy it. But the reason I'm mentioning it was kind of like slowly getting into his stride after like Laird left and Campbell took over, and she draws and she also writes now. But it slowly was going into this like normal action scenes what I always expect, but nothing was going into like the scenes of crazy. But this comic in particularly, which first appearance, has gone quite dark. And I was like talking to my husband about it. I was like, I don't know if I would like to show this to my like the child, like, because there's lots of scenes where there's lots of severed heads from animals, I know, but still like elaborate labs where people are experimenting on mutants with a particular doctor. And I was kind of surprised that how far they were going with it. Not saying that it's bad. I'm thoroughly entertained. Don't get me wrong, it goes with the story really well. It's getting very quite dark, even more to the extent maybe just the storyline they'll be going through. But turtles basically have a problem. They have, since the death of their father, which is spoiler alert, I'm sorry about that, but it's been like 60 issues ago. But not 60, maybe 40. Anyway, so turtles are trying to basically fight the fight, which we always do. And unfortunately, now they've been kind of walled off from the human population due to an events what's happened previously. But it seems to be they trying to kind of like regain their sanity and trying to become brothers, because they always have struggling like brothers. They always struggle. Like one wants to do this one, the other one has an ideas of something else. But it's also a lot of happening in the island of, I forgot the name of, where these creatures coming into play. Anyway, and there's lots of scenes happening. It's quite kind of like sad deaths as well, and the babies involved, which is kind of like, when being a mother, it's a bit of a like a, like I feel it, like it's hard for me to read sometimes. Anyway, but so we this particular doctor, or whatever, he's called himself doctor, but he's like experimenting and helping in his way of telling his story. He's helping mutants with their own like hardships, like for example because lots of people have been turned into animals as well, or mutants. And particularly one of the girls, she turned into pig creature mutant, and she lost all her hair, and she's like absolutely distraught because having to be human with a like your hair and becoming that, it becomes a big issue. So she goes to this doctor for help, and he is the doctor who's experiments, and he feels like like that kind of creature who feels like everything is doing what he's doing is right, no matter how many boundaries you step over. So yeah, as I say, it's kind of like very intense, and you see this animals experiment, like he's supposedly helping, but he's using a different tech in order to help them, like metal and all sorts of things, and they don't really look healthy, and it's kind of like kind of disturbing at a sense of. There's plenty of new characters, of course, in here, but it's always like, as I say, they really does treat this story well. But what I'm talking about is this scene in particular, where Alopex goes into like lab or hidden lab, and where she see carcasses of other previously mutants he was playing on with, which was really kind of like disturbing even for mutant turtles, and of course there's a spoiler on the next page which she's going into her face, as you can see there, but I'm not going to show it. So it's big spoiler. It's big appearance from the character, a new character apparently. So yeah, I'm just warning you guys.
Wow.
if you want but buy an issue, probably this one would go a little bit crazy, especially if the character goes popular. But yeah, so as I say, I don't know why I never mentioned this, but I always read it. So I'm very like a supportive of this. Particularly, I wanted to go as long as they want to go. I don't care. There's lots of other, like they have other stories to tell about, like offshoot comic books with their own stories with other creators. But I'm thoroughly into this one, and I really enjoy it. As I say, it's made it entertaining since issue 30, and I never wanted to leave it behind. So it's just like I'm living through my childhood with Turtle animation series. This is how I was introduced to them anyway. And even thinking about it, that song is still ringing in my head. I just said the words animated series, and then and I just can't. Anyway, so yeah, I'm a fan. So this is basically me having an extra episodes with what comic books in comic book format, which I thoroughly enjoy. And there's lots of changes. They playing around with things, but I guess you have to move on with the characters as well. You can't just be stagnant, as I say this way.
Totally.
So you've liked since Sophie Campbell has taken over the scripting duties, you've liked her work?
At first was kind of
I wondered because I didn't know how much writing she'd done before.
Yeah, I think she's being helped. Like there's always somebody else's to work with her. I think Eastman is there to basically like show her go to the right directions, because at the end of the day it's his world. He wants to maintain it. The only thing is sometimes Turtles gets the different artists, like this one. This particular storyline for past like maybe 5-10 issues is Pablo Tunica, or I don't know how you pronounce his surname probably, but he is there, and it's different, like feel, but it's still the same Turtles. but there's just like, like there was some great herself. It's really great as an artist as well when she draws it. But but Tom Waltz also is part of the team still. So
he's still there. Okay.
Yeah, so it's still helping. You tell it like story consulting. So they consulting like the storyline, yeah. And it says Kevin Eastman, Tom Watts, and stories by Sophie Campbell. And lots of people are giving her grief for introducing lots of members of like more female members are part of the Turtles. No more there's 4, there's 5 of them now. Is a female part of it. And lots of other female characters who are quite prominent in here. But then, as I say, you have to move on with times. And I think that's what you're trying to please. Like, you can't please everybody. You're always going to have somebody who is not going to be happy about it. But they always manage to give me those moments where I really feel like, oh, okay, I'm back to being what I've seen before or I've read before. And I like that. And this is kind of heading towards this probably big storyline they're gonna go for with this new character of introducing, but we will see. But as I say, it usually goes really steady without nothing like overly blown up happening. But when it goes into something like big storylines, it's as I say, always entertaining to read, and it's, as a fan, is definitely one of the things I'm looking forward to have, and I always think about it. Like, I never missed a copy, I think, since 30, because I'm like, oh, did it came out? It's like always had the triple check before I actually go and ask her to order this for me. The good thing is I have really good comic book guy who is always like, do you want an annual? It's like, nope, thank you. keep that one. I just want the regular one. Thank you very much. So yeah, so it's always permanently in my pull list.
So why don't you pick up the annuals? You're just because the extra budget, or is it because you just not?
I don't see it part of the story anyway. It's not really ever part of a storyline. Is sometimes it does, as I say, but I've never felt that annuals are needed.
Yeah,
in my opinion, since I started like properly collecting comic books. I remember buying a couple of annuals, like Batman. I guess this DC is different way of producing stuff, but it's just like, oh, I felt like, why would you give me an extra thing to spend? Because it's like double. Because the minute annual comes out, you pay twice for the same kind of title. Let's say this way, and I'm like, oh no, I'm unhappy with one. I don't need an extra. You don't have to force me to get something extra.
Yeah,
maybe that's just the way I feel all the time, and it never seems to be like, as I say, there's a couple of them maybe I missed, which is really great. But I always can go back in the bins and find probably those annuals most of the time. So
yeah,
which is fine.
I'm sure their numbers are pretty big with how many copies they're printing.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really follow that kind of thing, saying how much sells. I'm just worried that this comes out regularly, because, as I say, having 127 issues going on still continuously is a big task to get people to come. But I think you have so many fans of the Turtles in generally, you don't see them selling anyway, because you go to the shop and the regular title to be in the bins, for example, especially where I've been ever, I've never seen. So, if you miss out on those, and you tend not to be on eBays, they don't tend to be anywhere else on the books, especially in like maybe UK or wherever I am at. But I've never seen them in the back issues, to be honest. Like one random issue of like, I can't even still find it #1 issue. I've been looking because my collection starts from 30, and it bothers me to the core.
Yeah.
It's still trying to look, but like if there's somebody offers something, it's high priced, and it's just like, okay, I don't know if I want to do that. So yeah. Right, Mr. Damien, is it the clicky?
Yes, the clicky.
Okay. All right.
So this is your fault, Rasa.
Yes.
You introduced me to the Europe comics.
Yes.
And then I discovered they were on Hoopla, which is our American library thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I was like a kid in the candy store, just searching through all the
so lucky
Europe comics.
So
and
lucky.
I did start with Yojimbot, which was good. I like that. Very nice art and fun kind of story.
Really
but
pleased.
Then I saw this and I thought, looks like Mobius.
Yeah.
So And it's an artist named Laurent Thoreau, and he's definitely trying to be Mobius, I think.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this is this very abstract story about some future Earth, or later I learned it was an alternative Earth where there's gods all over the planet. And at least in the future, this volume takes place in the future, humanity is dwindling and just lives in a few domes. But what is really going on in here is unclear. Two gods have a fight. One of them is the Lord of Flies. He's traveling in this giant ball of flies.
Oh, wow.
And he, I can't remember why, if we are told he's blowing up things.
Uh-huh.
And then he blows up the place where this other god, the guy with the mustache here, who's number one, I guess he's the first god, I don't know, is hiding. And so then they just have a big kind of god fight. But the art is really fun to look at.
Uh-huh. Wow, good
It's
accent.
very expressive and kooky, I thought.
Yeah.
Sorry, what'd you say, Rasa?
It's very expressive, but also the first thing when I saw this, the guy in the purple, Mr. Miracle, straight away in my head. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the colors. Go ahead.
He's kind of overdressed or something. Pages like this, though, are really cool and do kind of make me think of Mobius.
Totally.
So it was kind of intriguing. There's a first part where they have this big fight. It's kind of inconclusive. Neither gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this Lord of Flies guy gets kind of, humiliated. He can't defeat number one.
Wow.
And we just get a lot of cool visuals.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot more to say about that. And then there's a second part where he flies off in his ball of flies. And turns out he has a wife who's also a god.
Wow.
I don't know if they ever say her name. And she's listening to music. A funny part where she's listening to music again. Mozart or maybe Duran Duran. It's like that's how much human music means to him, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's just all this back and forth between him and his wife. I mean, I found it mildly amusing, but I didn't really get a lot out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go visit a human that is like her pet man or something. There he is.
Oh.
So
Is he
he has the human's holding up a sign, I had a son. So they can't even, I guess, talk directly.
Mm.
And the Lord of Flies is a little jealous of that. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, we see that the human lives in kind of a suburb inside of that dome there.
Uh-huh.
And they seem to have a modern, modern 2000s lifestyle. I guess maybe slightly more futuristic furniture, maybe. They're watching a big screen TV.
Oh.
And on the big screen TV is being reported the Lord of Flies' big fight with number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then their baby has dolls of these gods, which made me wonder, maybe the whole gods thing was just in a child's imagination.
It's a very Watchmen layout there on that previous page.
Yeah. So I really wanted more of this artist.
Yeah.
I didn't really care about the story a whole lot. I don't know why it's kind of faded out here on this website. Anyway, and we kind of end.
There you go. Monsieur Maurice.
I didn't read this part, the gods who's who, where it describes the different gods. The Snow Queen, that's his wife. But then in issue 2 or volume 2, which is as far as I've gotten so far, there's 4 volumes on Hoopla. I don't know if that's how many total.
Yeah, Monsieur Maurice said there's 4 volumes, each drawn by different artists.
Right, and that's my problem. I was loving that first artist. The next artist is perfectly good, but he's no Mobius imitator. He's just kind of a generic kind of artist. And in here, this supposedly takes place in the 60s. So that's when I learned this is an alternate version of Earth. And it all seems, even though it's a French comic, it all seems to take place in the US. And so there's this cult around this goddess Lilith, who says she's the goddess of humans. And we have a hero who goes to visit her, and she gives him a plant that's going to create an elixir for him. It's never clear what it's supposed to do. And then there's some government agents who are following him because they want to, I don't know, break it up. It's vaguely like some 60s cult or something, I guess. And then at the end, another goddess shows up and says that Lilith is not really a goddess. And I'm not sure if she is a goddess or not by the end of the story. So the story remains intriguing, but with not enough information for me. I don't know if it's something lost in translation or anything like that, or maybe I'll learn more if I read all 4 things. So I'll keep reading it because it's kind of interesting. It's kind of weird to jump back in time, but then nothing in this second volume seems to relate to what we saw in the first volume, except that there's gods, and humanity hasn't really diminished yet. But this confrontation with this goddess of the night and this other goddess that Lilith, who the goddess of the night claims is really human and not a god, that just seems inconclusive, and I don't know what to make of any of that. I have to say, as the issue went on, the art got better, though. There's some pretty cool pages here. But it took me about half of this volume to get over the fact that it wasn't the same artist. And I looked on Hoopla to see if there were any other books by that first artist, Thoreau or whatever, and I couldn't. So I need to find out more about that first artist. Anyway, it's interesting. And I don't know if this is, I guess Maurice knows about this, so maybe these are not obscure comics. I mean, you never know what we're getting from Jean-Pierre Donnet is one of the founders of Metal Hurlant. Okay. I think he's the writer, right? And so he's the writer of all 4 volumes. But so this Laurent Thoreau, I need to learn more about him. But it is interesting. So there is a connection to Metal Hurlant here, which that's cool. So, I mean, I'm very excited about Europe Comics, but it's going to take me a while to explore it. It's only digital, as far as I know, so I can't buy these physically. But I can get a certain number a month for free through Hoopla.
Oh, so you have to look at how much you can read. Right.
And a lot of my Hoopla reading is stuff I read with my daughter. But so I have a few things a month I get for myself and a few for her.
I highly recommend Glorious Summers. I mean,
you and I read that together, remember?
Yes, we did. Yes, I keep on. I always rave about it. But the artist is coming out something with.
Has he got something new coming?
Yeah, but I'm not really. I don't know what. Oh, what is his name now? Oh, it's quite a long one. The YouTuber, newish one. He is doing the. Like he done an interviews. I forgot his name of the YouTube now. Oh shit. Anyway, so he was saying that he's coming out looking through the previous page, and that artist came through because of the Glorious Summers, and he's doing new book with him. But I really like his art because I like the way he does expression, and I can show you 2 examples. I mean, we were speaking about it before, but I see he's really good, capable of doing those. Like French, but it's just the way he draws. It's spectacularly busy panels, of course, and he seems to be very good at everything.
Yeah, he made everyday life seem so much fun.
And those, like when the man puts his shorts on and that's look very awkward and stuff like that. It's just like fantastic, but really a heartfelt storyline. It's just beautiful to look at. So I'm looking forward to see what he does next. See if his art evolves, because I follow him on Twitter and I always have kind of look at it to see what he's come up with, as far as I remember. So yeah, one of the things I recommend all the time. Like, I forgot that we actually done that chat, and I remember straight away you mentioned that we were reading it together. So it was like great. I always try to recommend it because I just thoroughly enjoy it.
There might be a volume or 2 of it that I haven't read yet. I'm trying to remember.
Because there's how many of them? There's 5 of them.
Yeah, I think maybe I only read 4, so I should go. That's a good reminder to go back and get
The
that.
Warriors Heaven is Haven. Yeah, the Warriors Haven is the last volume 5.
Right.
If you want to know that anyway. So.
And I assume those are not available in print either.
I'm not really kind of sure. I can't tell you that, but it is one of the digital ones again from Europe Comics as well.
Right.
So, and Chaos and Comics saying that he's not. He's the god apparently. But Chaos, I thought you were saying your Twitter says Chaos and Cricket. So what's happening? Are you changing your name, or are you just keeping it for Twitter, or are you trying to
He's
confuse?
a god of cricket.
Or you're the god of cricket now, or god of comics? Confusing. But yeah, he's not a fan of Duran Duran apparently. So,
But maybe of Mozart.
Yeah,
they're both the same though.
Yeah, and they're talking about both of them for Love of Comics as well about Layla Star, and you guys raving it. I haven't read either, so they're not the only one for the Love Comics. If you
It'd be
read
nice to know what someone who knows a little more about Indian culture thinks of it, because obviously we review it from a great distance and have to take Ram V's word for what everything is about.
Yeah. What is this Inhuman you guys talking about?
I don't know. I don't know if it's another Europe comic or something else.
Yep, he says yep, it is. So I guess I'm gonna have to.
And he's saying Europe Comics does release some in print. I guess I haven't seen that, but
I was gonna say I'm sure that I've seen some in the past. That I've not a lot, mind you, but I'm sure I've seen something.
And the format, is it the same like what we get reprinted in that smaller format, or is it nice and bigger format?
I seem to remember what I've seen in like the bigger kind of album format. But again, it's not something I really studied and looked at the time, but that's my memory of it.
Oh, okay. So Andrew Lopez says that he liked that the Ram went into Indian pantheon. Ricky Ray says, I was raised Hindu. Definitely liked the way the mythology was presented. Well, there you go.
Awesome.
That's good to know.
There you go.
It's really good to know.
Thanks for sharing.
I really enjoyed Layla Star. I think a lot of it was the art. I mean, it was a good story, but I really love the art in there.
It was one of those where I thought they worked both well together. Like some of the issues, the focus on things, and just the storytelling. I love the story as well too, and just like these little chunks that how they presented it, I thought was really well done.
And then the Chaos saying it's normal Euro album, so it's great to know.
Well, that's good.
That's one of them.
Because they must not get much distribution, because I don't recall seeing them.
Terrence, are you going to talk about Animal Castle at all, or?
No, because I haven't. I didn't get issue number 3, and I haven't read number 4. I put it on my pull list, and they somehow missed it. So I don't have issue 3. But issue 1 and 2 were fantastic. But I really want to wait. Like I really feel like as much as I want to read it, and I flipped through it, and I stopped myself halfway through because I really want to get into it because I'm loving it. But issue 1 and 2 are really solid hits, man. Well worth it if you can find them. I wouldn't hesitate picking them up.
I can't find them. I can't find them, but the price is not the one I want to find.
Right, even digitally, can you find them? I'm not sure what Blaze does digitally. No,
I guess I could go through those Comixology, but now I can't because I'm left Amazon. Blah blah, boo boo, whatever.
Right. Wow, Comixology has gotten way worse since Amazon kind of made it part of their own thing.
But then any other one do the digital, like other companies? Because I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Okay, the God is saying Amicus is hoopla.
We're just torturing all the non-US people with our hoopla stuff.
Oh, there's not available in print. I was looking for more Zidru and was very, very disappointed. Yeah, Zidru is the writer of that Glorious Summers. So beautiful. It's a pity that it's not in print because it's such a beautifully well.
I know it would look so nice in a big album.
They use such a calm and warming palette everywhere, and it looks like if you like in Dead Winter, this is a beautiful thing to watch or to read because it's such a beautiful sceneries, and he plays them in such a you want to go to France again because he's doing the flashbacks in times, but he's still continuously going with that stuff. He's like not in dentist. I was thinking, what is the dentist
That was
bathroom?
a fun whatchamacallit typo from what do you call those?
Yeah,
Spell check error.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
sometimes they
love
come
those.
up with some creepy stuff.
Well, I'm guessing that
Oh wow.
European comics and translations are such a hard sell in the US market
Uh-huh.
that it just makes sense to do them digitally and keep them in print that way for the few people who want to read them.
Yeah.
But it's sad for those of us who care.
Yeah. Totally.
Comics, man. Are you sure you're not sleepy?
He's probably all hyped up from his own long live show. I never can sleep after them.
I completely relate because this is what happens after I chat with you guys. I go like, oh, I'm buzzing. Like, did I have coffee? I really did, but I guess this doesn't help with the sweet drinks.
It puts the brain in overload, I think.
Yeah, my brain starts like I get so excited. That's why I talk like that's why I call this chat comic therapy, because it's just such a way of dealing my brain. It just goes away from all the bullshit around. It just makes me think comics and I get excited about it. So that's why how much I like doing this. Anyway, Mr. Terrence, what you showing us?
The Killer. Speaking of European comics, The Killer is back with another volume. This one's called Affairs of the State. I knew that it was coming out, and I forgot, so I missed issue number 1. But I couldn't help it, and I read this one anyway. And I know that I'm gonna love this. I have the first 2 series that they did.
Is this another Ablaze one?
No, this one is Archaea.
Oh, Archaea. Oh, that's even more obscure.
And I'm trying to think of, I don't know if it was Archaea that did the first 2 volumes. I can't remember right now. Someone in the chat probably knows. But it's a great series. It's a series about kind of a hitman, like a paid assassin. And this one is, it seems like there's going to be some kind of political espionage in here as well too. I'd have to sit with the art in the first ones. I can't remember. It feels like this has gotten a little bit simpler than previously, but I still really like it. I like the style. It brings me into the story. The main character, that's our main kind of assassin there. The art on his face, he's very, especially when you kind of contrast it with, these guys seem to have some real character in their face. But let's see if we can find a close-up.
So they're saying, Terrence, that you bought an oversized monitor because of those Euro erotic comics you found.
Yeah, yeah, couple of monitors. And then I put them on. I put them vertically. So there's our main character's face there. So you can see he's even more simply drawn. And then there's our TNA for the stream.
Gotta have that to keep you happy.
But
good night for the love.
Later for the love of comics. This is a really solid issue. I love it when a story, like, it feels like there's going to be this one particular plot point that we're going to be following through the series until it kind of gets dealt with pretty quickly, which I love when they kind of pull those kind of bait and switches, because then that you're in for a much bigger story. Because this one, it kind of halfway through the book, you sort of see where things are going, and just wondering like, well, am I going to be able to do 6 issues if this is what the story is going to be? And then they just deal with the situation really quickly. I'm excited for it. It's a really, really good series. I think they've been collected as well too, so it's worth checking out.
What's the creators again? Can you put back up so I can see proper? Yeah, come on. And Mats. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And like I said, I think there was 2 series before this. I'm not sure how much. I'm assuming that everything has been kind of reprinted in English, but maybe there's other stuff that's there. Oh, really? Hey, adapted by David Fincher. That's unfortunate. We'll see.
Spoiled it. Is it spoiled for you now?
It looks like it's available on Hoopla for those of you who can't get Hoopla. I just wanted to torture you with that.
Please bring the Hoopla. Oh, announcement. DC finally gonna release Dave services to UK and Canada and blah, blah, blah. The similar like what Marvel does with the digital formats. The DC is
the unlimited DC app.
I'm definitely gonna go and try it, but how far we'll get afterwards. I don't know, but I'm not sure if they're gonna go, because is it like they do animated series as well? Like you are allowed to watch the movies and stuff.
No, they removed that part from the app when they started HBO Max.
Yeah.
So I think it's just comics.
Well, I like comics anyway, but yeah. I was thinking, oh, too
Nice
good to be
moments.
true if that would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't heard. I don't know, Terence. Maybe I'm like blanking today, but I've not seen you talking about the killer before. To be honest, this is just like a.
No, because it's been a long time since the last story. Like it's been many years, like a really long time. It's got to be. I'm wondering if the second series was coming out when I started on YouTube. Like I wonder if it was that long ago. Yeah, so it's been a gap, and that's why I say like maybe there's other stuff that I've missed in that time. I don't think I have, because I mean some stuff like this I somehow managed to find myself tuned into it, right? But yeah.
It looks like on Hoopla in 2018 they published The Complete Killer, so they thought it was all over in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Harlequin show is so hard to get hold of legally. That Harlequin show, if you do get hold of it, though, like wow, our has like subscription as well. You have to specially go get Harlequin. But what I watch on YouTube, because they get snippets sometimes, just to watch it on like. It's a really good series. This fantastic Kaylee Kadu is doing the. I don't know if I pronounce her surname now right, but anyway, she is a very good voice for Harlequin. And apparently they are having a bit of a beef with the actress. What's her name? The Australian chick. I don't remember the name. Of course, I don't remember the name.
It used to be on the DC app, and it didn't have a warning on it. Do not watch it with small children.
Yeah, because it's not
the very first scene, along with the cursing, which is less of a problem for me, had like people's flesh melting off their bones and stuff.
Oh jeez. Yeah. Oh wow.
They love pulling punches there in that show. That show is crazy, and it's funny. It's hilarious if you do know the character, and if you like the character, it's definitely fantastic for those people for sure. I'm the fan of her for sure. Margot Robbie, thank you, Raga. So Margot Robbie and Kaylee had a bit of the like a banter between each other, because she's like animated series Harlequin, and she's the big screen Harlequin. So. And everybody was like, there was a saying that maybe Kaylee could do Harlequin, but then Margot Robbie is quite a big star now, isn't it? She?
So, yeah, she sure is.
She does crazy really well. That Suicide Squad, the latest Suicide Squad with her and the way she was like portrayed Harlequin. I don't know if you guys watched that movie, but she was really good in there. I felt it was fantastic. Yeah, Highland G, we agree with you.
Highland G.
For sure. Very funny. Right, so let's talk. Everybody's talking Usagi Yojimbo. Let's talk Usagi Yojimbo comics, eh? And I'll go with the star of the show, to be honest, because I think we both, maybe Damien, you agree with me, but we weren't very pleased with the Long Goat because of the name. I think the
name is still confusing, but it's a great comic.
Yeah. It's a great comic, exactly. But this one in particular, I felt they were getting like proper. Is the scenes, is the atmosphere, and the story itself was really good. But yeah, it is continuous as well, which is kind of fascinating, because I wasn't expecting, because I know it's they reprinting it especially for like to get this to introduce to people. But then they start mentioning the previous series, which is like really nice. I don't know. Yeah. I'm a fan of that kind of part. Continuation, I guess. That's what I'm telling.
Yeah. But if you like the Dragon Below conspiracy, it now continues in this issue number 3 of the next series. The first 2 were standalone stories. But,
exactly. Yeah. So that format is kind of still feels questioning. But yeah, Usagi Yojimbo gets into this little village town, and the whole story is called about blood wings, and it seems to be a new type of samurai, not like ninjas, and it's really nice the way they did them. Did you enjoy that, Damien? I think I thoroughly enjoyed them. The way they portrayed. So he goes in there, and this village people saying, we've been captured, now you are stuck with us, because they were hoping to see that he's the savior of the town, and this senior of the town is telling the story behind why they are captured, and apparently there's nearby the gold mine. And this village is just because it comes towards that, or you pass through them, and they've been noticed, so they've been captured, kind of in their own village, not allowed to leave and get help. But by seeing Usagi, they were thinking this is the help they're gonna come to do. But of course, with Usagi or Jimbo, he is the man to basically help everybody, it seems to be. But really well told. The action scenes are fantastic, and especially those that I really like that the dark scenes where it says flap 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 flap. So for you to know that they are flying ninjas, and that's those camera action. But this is the ninja, so it's a bat.
Amazing.
So well, the art's just so beautiful, like better than Batman. Okay.
Right.
I'm just joking, but anyway. So apparently those ninjas are trying to get work, and by doing some special deeds for basically looting the gold mine, they're trying to get employed by previous Dragon Conspiracy master, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, and there's some scenes where the people are dead, which is the way he portrays. I really like. I mean, even those scenes where they get really absolutely like shocked because it says gasp. But I really like those kind of paneling. It's not really gruesome, but very well, like really emotional things. So yeah, and the bats. The beautiful thing is, bats have the wings, and the wings are the blades.
Right.
Which is fantastic. So as I say, really, really entertaining issue. I really like this. A lot of things happening, deaths happening, and still it comes, and the way it ends, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but such a beautiful panel. The last panel, the panel, that one. I don't know if should I show it to people? I don't know.
Yeah, show.
Yeah, well, anyway.
The art was really strong in this issue, wasn't it?
Yeah. So you see Tiger Jimbo.
I always like the art, but it seemed a particularly strong issue art-wise.
Yeah. So
it's like he really got into doing all the detail or something.
Yeah, and this one basically where they're fighting, and unfortunately Usagi was apprehended kind of in a way, but he got smashed in the head and he lost his conscience, and the way he was being flown away, I just really like this, and the blades lying there, the foreshortening is so great, and it's just beautifully done. This, like you say, the art is so strong in this one. It's the pics of the panels, the scenes, and the writing was so nicely. And Rhonda Patterson is still coloring Sandstuck in this issue particularly, which I really like. I really do enjoy it in color. I must say, since we've been spoiled in color, looking at the black and white, it's kind of like, oh, I want color, because I just really enjoy the way it looks in color as well.
To me, I just think of it as a color comic, but I know that there's a whole generation of readers of Usagi that have spent years reading it in black and white.
Yeah.
Like Highland G is saying, it looks strange to see it in color. I'd say the thing that stood out to me, and I've noticed in other episodes recently, that Stan Sakai, without making a big deal of it, often shows how all of these things are affecting other people. So on one level, there's all these political machinations, but on the other level, it's like all this stuff between the lords. What is it doing to the farming villagers who live in the village? And so Usagi really never passes judgment. He never says anything, but like there was that other episode where it was about the mistress of a lord and what happens to her and her brother. And Usagi never comments. But he helps. He just passes through and he does what he thinks is right along the way, but he never makes any commentary. But it leaves it up to us to sort of look at the way society works and how it treats different people and stuff. And I really like that. The more I read of Usagi, the more I sort of start painting that picture of his social commentary.
This one is great because it has the beginning and the end, and the way it ends really beautifully, because they talk. It's a story it's called Ghost Story. So I'm just going to mention, because you just mentioned it. I don't think we're going to come up with that anyways. It's shorter.
Right.
But this is like there's this, it's like a folk tale at the end of the day about the females happening,
Yeah.
like they are in the shrine.
It's a
Usagi,
ghost tale, right? In a way.
so they're passing this forest, and then they see the female on the shrine. She's praying for it, and then of course Usagi and his cousin passing by, and they're like, "Okay, what's happening there?" And they talk to this dude who's basically telling the story why she's doing this, and nobody is thinking anything. Everything is going by, and of course, what happens in the story, Usagi and his cousin helps the female because she was pregnant of the master. So the Damon is showing to you that. Where basically they're in love, and he has a wife, and a wife of course doesn't agree, and the whole folk tale is telling about this ghost who she's basically get murdered by. But the end of what your cousin and Usagi Ojimbo experiences, still talking to this guy, and actually who the guy is, which is beautifully well told, and it just rounds up the story. It's just managing to round the story so well.
Right, great storytelling.
Yeah, it's just easy storytelling. It seems to be, like nothing forced, nothing will tell you that it is what's happening. I was just like, oh, okay, great. This is how the ghost story been told. So it's just beautifully done once again. And I really like it. And then those two Usagi's in my pull list, it seems to be never gonna go away because it's a joy to read. And you look at, he's nothing overcomplicated, but there's lots of like historical things what the Japanese culture does have entails. Like I like Hellboy, which has folk tales, which is kind of a part of it is basically background of the character. And it seems to Usagi Yojimbo that's used that of Japanese culture or Asian culture, let's say this way. So really, I thoroughly enjoy that. So, and I think I know why so many people are fans of it, because just the way he's telling the stories is just so nice and rounded all the time. You always seems to be pleased after you reading this stuff. So yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm now taking for granted that every month I'm going to get 2 awesome Usagi Yojimbo stories. And that Stan Sakai will go on forever doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I hope his health is very good and that he's still having fun doing it, because I don't want it to stop.
He definitely feels like one of those creators, though, that he's just going to keep going and like keel over at his drawing desk. He feels like one of those guys, very dedicated and just really involved with the stories,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you see some people as they get older, their hand gets shaky, like with Charles Schultz near the end of his life and stuff.
Yeah.
No sign of that yet with Usagi.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how old Stan Sakai is, but I assume he's about 70 or thereabouts. I don't know. But I'm not sure what Chaos in Comics said. Use that logic for recoloring, Damien. The logic of me liking the Usagi in color, I guess. But if you have good color, why recolor it?
Exactly.
I think that's a different thing.
Yeah, exactly right.
But we can argue any specific coloring. But if you look at the Swamp Thing coloring and then look at the original coloring, you really, in my mind, for me, you really have to ask why. I mean, that original coloring was very good.
Yeah.
And the modern coloring just kind of covers up the art too much or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You lose that we're so afraid of flaws and mistakes, but you have to find solutions how to do it before your digital media. Now everything's way too clean and it becomes boring because you clean up so much. Like I know as myself who likes to draw when it gets information, I'm petrified by doing mistakes, but and now me who talking saying I want mistakes, but then when it comes to me, I'm absolutely petrified to make mistakes. So
the coloring in Usagi is totally respectful of his line art, right? It's there to serve the line art. It's not to have everyone say, wow, look at that cool coloring or something. It's not the showing off kind of coloring.
There's 2 different colorists, but honestly they do the same kind of thing. So this one is the regular series is by Hi-Fi Design. Apparently that's colorist, and as I say, on this one is Rhonda Patterson. So she is a wife of the what is his name?
The
The
cover artist. Oh, okay. I hadn't made that connection, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
She
So-
colors a little bit darker than Hi-Fi does, I think.
Mm.
But otherwise, they're both good color jobs.
I
Right.
completely made a mistake. No, David Peterson is because Peterson, you know.
Okay. Well, that's too bad. It
the-
would have been nice if
yes,
there was that.
in that sense, it was by just flicking through it. So no, so maybe not his wife, but yeah, she's doing the coloring and it still looks exactly what you like respected for the artist, like we say as well. Yeah. Okay. Whose turn is Damien? Is that you? Is that
Yes.
you?
Put my
Ooh.
microscope on the
Yeah,
screen.
another fancy tech. Ooh.
Oh,
So
Ooh.
I read 2
Oh.
issues of Rogue Trooper, the quality old 80s reprints in color, so colorized from the original black and white.
Yep.
And the joy of anyone who's a fan of Dave Gibbons should get issue number 1.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's all I think even by issue number 2, it's another artist for most of the artwork.
Mhm.
But it is such fun artwork in issue number 1.
So good.
Yep.
It's I guess you have this too, Terrence.
I have a few of them. Yeah, I don't have the whole run, but I got quite a few issues.
And you
They're
sent
all-
a
they're
long
all-
time ago. You sent me a bunch of Nemesis by the same publisher, and that was really
Yep.
good. But I just love seeing Gibbons' artwork. It's like 6 or 7 years before he did Watchmen. I think his Wally Wood influence is more obvious here,
Mm.
and I really like it colored. I've never seen the black and white version, so that would be interesting actually to compare. Someone said to me it looked similar to the coloring of Miracle Man, which was black and white in England and then colored over here. So maybe it was a similar colorist or the same colorist. And I really enjoy these. It's not a deep comic, right?
Yeah.
Rogue Trooper. It's about an artificial soldier, and all the other artificial soldiers were killed, and he took the chips out of the heads of 3 of them and put them in his gear. So one person's personality is in his helmet, another in his gun, and another in his backpack. And they're trying to solve who betrayed them and got all their troops killed. They're on this alien planet called New Earth, NU Earth. And there's an endless war between the North and the South. And I think they're from the South originally, but now they're rogues. And someone in the South betrayed them to the North. I don't know. I assume they'll eventually solve that mystery because they seem to be getting close by the end of issue 2. But each story is like a little mix of the cliche of war comics, like Sergeant Rock and things like that, and the Losers and other. It reminds me of DC war comics in a lot of ways, but also a mix of classic sci-fi kind of tropes. So it's and each story is like 4 or 5 pages long. It's fun, but it never goes very deep. But it's like, for me, it's like little potato chips of story. So I'll read 1 or 2 in an evening and get a kick out of it. But I think if I read, if I tried to shotgun a whole bunch of issues, it would probably seem a little less satisfying. But just for the art alone, anyone who likes Gibbons' artwork, I think, should get this issue.
Yeah.
And I think it's reprinted. There's another version by IDW that I once had.
Really?
Yeah, they did something called Rogue Trooper Classics. They tried to start their own Rogue Trooper, and then they reprinted Rogue Trooper Classics. I think they did it for about 8 issues. But for the heck of it, for my when I can find them cheap, I'm just going to grab any of these quality Rogue Troopers. I kind of like that they're on this rougher paper. It's that in-between paper that was a little better than the old newsprint, but not much.
Yeah.
It has a nice feel to it. So, not a whole lot more to say about it. Like I said, it's like eating potato chips. In the second issue, they don't give credits for each individual story. And they say that Gibbons does some of the art and a guy named Colin Wilson does some of the other art. And they don't tell you where Gibbons ends. But I think Gibbons maybe only does the first story in this one. And they also take away the titles on a lot of the stories, trying to make it look like a continuous story. I would say that Colin Wilson? What was his name? Yeah, Colin Wilson's art is good. I think that's Colin Wilson, but it's a little more chaotic, a little less grounded. I always think of Gibbons' work as very grounded, like you always know exactly where you are and exactly what's going on. And it becomes a little wilder, a little more frenetic, maybe I don't know. There's still some really good stuff there, and I'm assuming this is not Gibbons anymore, but I'm not even sure where the change happens.
The color palette is a very odd choice, hey, with the pinks and purples and
You're right.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, especially at that time in the 80s, you didn't see that color palette so much.
Well,
it worked well with the sci-fi kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So in the climax of issue 2, he goes up to this satellite where all the generals are to find out which of the generals betrayed his troop, and then they shoot down the satellite before he can find out, and everyone gets in these life pods to escape, but then all the life pods have been sabotaged too. And then he's back down on the planet just wandering around. And then in the backup is ABC Warriors. So you get one in each issue. You get one ABC Warriors, which are drawn by Pat Mills. Is that? No, Pat Mills is the writer of those. He's the artist. I'm having that on air. The art is by Brendan McCarthy. Script by Pat Mills. But it doesn't look like Brendan McCarthy that I know. It has a
little bit tamer for sure. Yeah,
it has a bit of a tamed down I don't know, it looks a bit like somewhere between fan art and Drulier or something.
Yeah.
So it feels a little more amateurish, but it's still got a lot of fun energy to it. It's a little more chaotic and confusing, especially after the Dave Gibbons work. Let's see, was he also but I'm kind of interested to see where this ABC Warriors will go. It's only just beginning here. But as I get more of these Rogue Troopers. Have you read much ABC Warriors, Terrence?
I had a collection, a softcover collection. It didn't last one of the purges, about a year ago. I never finished the whole thing. I started getting into it, and it didn't catch me. It didn't catch my interest, so it eventually went away.
It seems pretty obvious what's going on so far. It's just the evil humans have the robots do their fighting for them, and the robots can feel pain, and the humans don't care.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I don't know. It's like both a kid's comic and a anti-war comic at the same time, I guess. And a kind of amateurish art, maybe.
Yeah.
So Brendan McCarthy became much better later on.
Yeah, when he kind of let loose.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you just get one Rogue Trooper, just get this issue number 1, and I think you've got what you need.
Yeah, it's a double-sized issue too, isn't it? Isn't it pretty beefy?
No, I think it's got a lot of. I mean, there's no ads. Hardly any ads. It's got a lot of story in it. It's probably like 30 pages of story.
Oh, okay.
But it's not any thicker than a regular comic.
Oh, look at that.
Marvel Fanfare 41. I probably have that in my boxes somewhere and didn't realize.
I've talked about it on our chat. I think on our chat anyway. I know I've talked about it. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's so recommended. It's beautiful.
I've been looking for it to get it as well, but online prices are sometimes it depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm spending, sometimes not. But the first appearance of Rogue Trooper came out. I wasn't even born yet, so that sells a lot.
I thought it was 1980. Is that right?
1981.
81.
And
these reprints are from 86.
And Rogue 228 for people if you want to know. Rogue 228 is first appearance of Rogue Trooper.
Collector's item.
Just mention it. I never know who's gonna watch. Maybe somebody.
Do you find there's a lot of 2000 AD laying around in comic shops cheaply?
Yes, but not that age.
Not from that vintage.
Those 16p versions, which is not really the newspaper ones, are quite difficult to obtain. Usually quite popular, especially those the Dave Gibbons's, because of the popularity of what he's presenting, and other ones. And yeah, it's very difficult to. I mean, not difficult. Like if you're Dr. Monkeybot, probably it's easy.
Yeah.
Because he knows people. or
He's always
or-
finding incredible deals. It's mind-boggling sometimes.
his charm, 007 Bond look is always. So like charming everybody. I don't know, even men can't resist him apparently.
Right.
So it's like this first appearance goes usually for like £1,600. This first appearance of Rogue Trooper.
Really?
Same
1600?
no,
So we said?
60 pounds.
60. Okay.
Oh,
Not bad.
Phew.
60.
That's
I
not
mean,
cheap, but it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's not so bad, believe me. Like, but like it's getting the quality of newspaper in the sharp
Right.
condition. That would be.
Well, I think I paid $1 for this one.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, beauty.
Later progs of 2000 AD is so abundantly to see everywhere. It's like just you can pick any, but not those early progs, not 200 progs, not like there's some of them are quite amazing. And I remember there was a time somebody, like I think Dr. Monkeybot was mentioning that, so I was being like on a hunt everywhere on the web, and they weren't. I mean, not expensive, but like when you adds up, because
Right.
like 200 for price, let's say, if you're lucky, let's say fine for £10 each, that's quite a buck.
It adds up
like
quickly, yeah, because there's so many issues.
yeah, exactly. And some of them are really amazing because of all the creators, they're
Yeah.
the English creators, especially, like the gold, the creme de la creme, as they call them.
And were those on newsprint, even the covers
Yeah.
back then? Yeah. So they probably were thrown away or recycled much more than other comics.
Well, the collector won't do that, but most other people definitely.
Right.
And they're always colored the first cover, but like it's all newspaper. And I remember I had the prog, like in the comic book guy, when I went to visit him, he had the prog, the early ones. They're so fragile. The paper feels like really thin.
Oh, yeah.
Even having your typical, for me, maybe it's just what conditions he had, but I felt like I was like, do I even flip? I was like,
You might crumble in your fingers.
like, give me those cotton gloves, please. Otherwise, So it felt like really fragile for me. But no, it's newspaper at the end of the day. But as I say, I just felt like, oof, that's really fragile. But to keep them in the condition, and whoever does that is crazy, like good, like to take care of their stuff. Anyway, but
Yeah. I had this is much older, but I had a Spirit newspaper thing from the 40s, or maybe I think it was the late 40s. And I started opening it, and the pieces were falling off in my fingers, and it was it's like, oh, I still want to open it, but it's really falling apart.
Yeah.
But those kind of things now absolutely rare, isn't it? Those Spirit stuff. Or
if you want to spend the money, last time I looked on eBay many years ago, I bought quite a few. The harder ones to get are the ones that are from the good period where he came back from World War II and took it back over. So the cheap ones are the ones that aren't really done by him. I mean, they say they're by Will Eisner, but they're not.
Oh, so you're just like those ghostwriters or ghost artists, pretending to be the creator.
Yeah, I think I've spent between $10 and $30 for those ones, but for something from the 1940s. And I think they're probably more now. And I got ones that were in bad shape, like the one that was literally falling apart.
Yeah.
Heart probably is like, oh my goodness, what is this? It's a horrible feeling, though, if you do that. I don't know, you as a collector, I guess, it's just predisposed thing. When you start collecting, it's like, very careful kind of thing. Even like, not this though. I mean, I try sometimes. Like, there's the times when it's like sometimes you like, like butterfingers, as they call them, and you can't really, and just on the floor, and you're like, you're gasped, but then it's the new comic book, and you just put it down. But if I do that, like a Daredevil or Doctor Strange, which I enjoy thoroughly, and I have in collection. That doesn't happen. I mean, I properly concentrating, just holding that stuff. So,
Right.
Yeah.
anyway. But they're
Well,
not
that's
as old.
why I removed tape from everything, because my
Oh, yeah.
greatest tragedies have been on a few Silver Age comics having a piece of tape get stuck to the cover.
Yeah.
Didn't you do a video while you're boxing something and the tape got stuck on one of the books and
I
you were
think
like,
so, years ago. Yeah, that
oh,
sounds
and you're
familiar.
like, oh my God, the tape.
It was-
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, I see
wow.
what
Look,
Goose is saying there.
yeah. And wow. Warrior Magazine.
Crazy.
oh, yeah. And Warrior Magazine was so good. That came out in the US too, or at least at comic shops I went to in the US.
Mhm.
Got a hold of it.
Oh, so it came like in the same time?
Warrior Magazine had a US distributor for a
Mhm.
while anyway,
I see.
Um,
Okay. Didn't know
but
that.
not 2000 AD.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, history of 2000s. Oh wow. And they're still going strong. It seems to be. They still have
Yeah.
people buying it, and Caprox keep on coming out. I don't know how much they have of a popularity these days, but apparently there's some great stuff happening in there as well. Anyway.
You can order it through your American comic shop, and I presume Canadian, but you have to order it in a package that comes once a month with 4 issues in it.
Oh, okay.
And so I've always not done that because I know it would be hard to read 4 in a row
Yeah.
and keep up.
Yeah.
If I could get it every week, I think I might, add it to my pull. But
Yeah.
maybe I should try it anyway.
You never know. Maybe you'll enjoy it. You forget one and
Probably
it's
I will. I'm sure there's, like anything else, there's probably some stuff I'll like more than others.
Oh, that's
but
good. Yeah, gotta be. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
know there's some great stuff in there.
I always, if like say they randomly go to the comic book, I always flip through it because I'm curious to see what's coming out there, and
Yeah.
always think crazy, like I mean crazy in good, in like art wise, it's just spot on most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just like, and of course, I always pick up, of course, new comic book day one, because then
the free one.
Oh, yeah.
and so it was happening in there, so it's kind of cheating in a way. But like the prog is the history is so vast, and lots of things, like it just gets scary. It becomes scary to get jumped into it sometimes.
Isn't Free Comic Book Day coming up again already, or is it?
Yes,
did they
May.
change the date?
The May.
Yes, sometime in May, right?
Yeah.
The first week, I think, of May, or Sunday or whatever that.
Right.
I think if it's correct. Yeah, I was just thinking about that as well because we just hit April, so yeah. Time goes. Mr. Terrence, do you have something else to share?
Not too much. Just like pretty quick ones.
Mhm.
Just talking about, like you were talking about, kind of the modern books. I
Yeah.
noticed. I picked up another issue of Black, White, and Red Sonja, and these
Mhm.
Dynamite, like the cover stock they use for these are just. It's pretty beefy stuff. It feels pretty resilient.
And drop it on the floor.
Sorry, say that again.
You can drop it on the floor.
Exactly, it'll bounce and probably chip the floor instead. So I mean, again, like not too much to say about this. It's just the usual kind of things. The first story was pretty good. The art was beautiful. I just get confused by these. I mean, you get these panels with all this violence and stuff, and then we get, the ads for the other stuff with the cosplay covers and boobs and everything, which I got nothing against. But then you get a second story that has very, very childlike art and the story isn't that interesting, and I don't like the art style. I just find it very confusing. These books, like who is this exactly for? Because I mean, the second story was decent enough to read with my daughter, but it's the one story out of here, and then there's the first story that's a little more violent. I don't know. I just find it really odd that you would put out a comic like this and not really have who's your audience,
schizophrenic thinking there.
This? And then the third story was, again, like the art just didn't do much for me. I don't know. I mean, I keep getting them. 204 Comics had their year anniversary. So we went on April 1st, and he had a whole bunch of sales going on. And when you have if you have a pull box, you get 2 comics off the shelf for free. And then in the kind of recent new comics, he had them even further discounted. He always has the last month's book at $1 off the cover price, but then it was an extra 30% off, I think. So we ended up getting a bunch of stuff. So I got that one. The one that I got off the shelf was Storyteller has a new series. So this one was a freebie for me. Shapeshifters with a Mike Del Mundo cover, apparently, but that just does not look like Mike Del Mundo to me. But inside it says covered by Mike Del Mundo. It's just a very different style. I don't see a signature either. Anyway, so, and Storyteller is it's the same. Every single issue is fantastic. Me and my daughter read this one together. We've read a bunch in the past. She has a hardcover collection of, I think it's the fairies one that I bought for her.
Yeah.
And every single time, it's a hit every single time. Yeah, it's just another no-brainer sale for me. Just kind of dealing with these folk tales and these kind of fairy tales and things, told really, really well, and always fun. And you get a different artist and a different writer every issue. Even within the 4-issue miniseries, every single issue will have a different creative team, which is fun as well. So it's a no-brainer. And I think that was pretty much it that I read. Oh, the other thing that I read that I got, he had 3 for $1, dollar bins, and I found this in there, something called Rat Bastard issue number 2 from Crucial Comics. I read that just before
It sounds like a Terrence comic.
Yeah, it was fun. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think it might have been associated with a records company, because in the back they've got a bunch of ads for some this record label called Victory Records that did kind of like hardcore music, and then they've got reviews of records in the back too. So I feel like it's somehow associated, and then a Crypt Records ad in the back too. But I don't know anything about Crucial Comics. It was just kind of a fun, quick story with some very, very indie type art. Almost reminded me of Von Bode a little bit in this style. So it was a 4-issue miniseries. He only had this one, but for 33 cents or whatever, it was worth checking out. And then just finally, the very last thing, found 3 issues of the Dark Horse Cull from one of the Comic Addict guys. And
is that a different Conrad?
It is a different Conrad. Will Conrad, I want to say. Yeah, Will Conrad. And then color artist Jose Villarrubia.
He's a good colorist.
And it's a beautiful looking book. I guess I didn't realize that it was just going to be a retelling of those original kind of Cull comics that I've already read. So this is just a retelling of it. And it feels like they changed a couple of things. One of the things was when this picked messenger comes to see Cull to deliver the message to kind of come for a meal. I feel like my memory of this scene was different in the original one. I feel like he puts himself, or maybe that was when we met his kind of what becomes his right hand man, whose name I'm blanking on as far as the
Brule.
I thought it was depicted differently. I'd have to go back and look at it, but I feel like this messenger in the original one was almost going to get killed by Cull, and he kept his sword down. It was a really impactful moment as far as that story, that plot point went. In this one, it's played very differently, but my memory might be wrong about that too. So, did you say Brule? Is that what you said, Dean?
Brule, yeah, Brule. Yeah, I think in my memory they have Brule be the messenger, right? But it looks like there they don't.
That's what I thought too. That's kind of how I remembered it. And this is just another guy. He hasn't actually met Brule face to face yet. He'll make his appearance in the next issue. So, I mean, I'm glad I got it, but I didn't realize it was going to be just a retelling. I thought it was going to be other little stories.
Right.
I know that there was a few miniseries from Dark Horse. Maybe the other ones are original content. Like this one, I got this one single issue as well too, from The Cat and the Skull. And of course, it has Thulsa Doom in it, his nemesis there. I haven't read this one yet, though, so I don't know.
David Lapham wrote it?
Yeah, that's right. David
That's
Lapham
interesting.
wrote it. Gabriel Guzman is the artist. and the art isn't horrible art, quite a bit
Right.
different,
Yeah.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
look bad.
Yeah, the other art looked better.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
looks
the look way better.
Yeah, I feel like I read some calls way back, when Dark Horse was putting it out that were good, but I can't remember the specifics anymore. And I don't think it was either of those artists. I think it was someone else.
Right.
Mhm.
I think because I think there was 3 around this time. I think I saw ads for 3 different miniseries, and then they're also doing an ad for Solomon Kane as well too,
Huh.
coming back.
I never saw their version of Solomon Kane. That might be interesting.
And that is Scott Alley, Mario Guerva, Dave Stewart, John Cassaday
Mhm.
is on that one.
Cassaday is probably just the covers, I'm guessing.
On this one, the cover is Joe Kubert on this one they're showing. I don't know if he does cover art for all of them, but that might be interesting. Unless, again, it's a retelling of the stories we already have, right?
Right.
Then I'm kind of less interested in that.
So is Dark Horse has the license of those, or
They had the license in the late 90s, early 2000s.
they did?
And now
the one that I
Marvel got
read-
the license back, I think.
The one that I read was December 2008, and then this Cat in the Cradle thing was 2011 is when that came out. So at least for a few years they had it anyway.
Yeah, I think for maybe over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it for me, though, for reading. That was pretty much it.
Oh, so you just in one swoop, eh? You're gonna show us everything you.
Yeah, no, it's just there's a couple things that I read I didn't really like, and as usual, I'm not too keen on talking about the stuff that I don't like. I'd rather focus on the good stuff.
Right. On Twitter, where we're both counting the comics we're reading, I have a feeling we've both slowed down a bit this past month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's been really not sure why I slowed down, but I have.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be you posting it quite often. You see a view read, and I was like, my God, you guys been reading quite often. It's like, how do you do this?
It's usually just on the weekends I get a chance, you know what I mean? And the past few weekends I've been working, so I haven't even had that. So I feel like when I sit down and read, I just sit down with a stack and read a bunch at once, right? And then get to mark it off, because then it's a week before I read anything again. So
no.
Whereas I usually read about 2 a day, and that just kind of adds up.
Wow.
Pretty quickly. But I don't know. This past month, it seems like I've been hitting a lot less comics, although I'm still reading them fairly regularly.
Definitely not on the same pace as Chaos and Comics, who's well over his 500.
He's over 500 already.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does it quite.
He apparently reads on his phone too. Like I can, when I read digitally, I'll read on my iPad. I can't read on my phone. But
yeah.
So I guess that allows him to read in a lot of places.
But if he does the expansion of the panels, I've noticed that few, but it still is quite small. I mean, maybe he has
small,
maybe he has those, those tablet phones. Though they look like big tablets instead.
Phone like
that.
He probably has better eyes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's like when you have glasses, I think it's a challenge a little bit more in concentration as well, I think. I wanted to ask, so Tomb of Dracula omnibus is kind of like out of print, isn't it? It's like, because I just saw the Masterworks, and I wanted to ask you guys, have I tried to buy those like thinner volume Masterworks? And they are always in higher price level.
I have bought them a long time ago, and I've switched to omnibuses because dollar for dollar, you pay a lot for those Masterworks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they retain their value too. Like Jaden has a couple of the old Masterworks hardcovers.
Oh, okay.
And they're still really expensive. Like even when you find them used, they're really pricey. Well, at least here anyway.
Well, I guess you can rationalize they're a good investment then.
Yeah.
The thing is, what I'm trying to say is, I've always been keen to get into Tomb of Dracula because I really like the art first. Is what I've checked. I don't want to go digital because I do really enjoy the paper feel of those kind of comics, especially the older ones, but then getting collected ones, and Tomb of Dracula seems to be extremely popular because they become omnibus whales. This is another thing that happens. Really crazy to get.
They did reprint the first omnibus a while ago, but I don't know if that's already out of print again.
Yes, it is. It is, because it's £160 a pop.
Have you looked to see if your library has either the Masterworks or the omnibus?
No, they don't do that. I have not seen any omnibuses in library at all. Only like the most likely straight paperbacks. Hardcovers usually are Europeans. Very difficult to get anything like you can get hardcovers of DCs, some of them, but most of the time is trade paperback, and I think they don't go that route. But yeah, I just really want to get into because, funny enough, I have the first appearance of Blade in a comic book format. So it's the only thing I bought because I heard in that
I
time.
just saw copies of that going for $1,600. I couldn't believe it.
Holy.
Oh, really?
I had been waiting, back when it cost $80, saying, well, that's too much. I'll wait for it to come back down.
Yeah.
I was wrong on that one.
Yeah, because I was like, I started hearing rumors, like you hear those rumors, and I loved Blade. Okay, Wesley Snipes' Blade is the key was for me. Like I could watch it again now, and I probably thoroughly enjoy it anyway. But when they start coming, like the movies got blown up into all proportions, and they start mentioning Blade, and it's like I panicked, so I bought it, and I bought it quite cheap. But my copy isn't amazing. Like for those, like it's not $3,200. Let's say this is a copy, okay. But I have that, and it's ironic because I have that, but I want to actually read the whole series rather than just having his first appearance. But then I never bought because I was thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to bought in single issues later, like when I was going to the comic marts. But now single issues, geez, you can't even get #1 issues. I mean, it goes skywards in the price as well. And it's like first 10 issues is like crazy.
Do they have their paperback Epic collections with? That's out of print too.
Yes, because they all go. Like that's the thing, and it's like okay, so like that's what I'm saying. I really don't want to go digital at all. Because I have as I say, I have first appearance of Blade, and I really like to read it that way because it was such a beautifully drawn, well drawn, and I really just enjoyed it. For Gene Colan, isn't it? Is the artist?
Yes, through the entire series. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's such a I don't know why I slept on it. Like okay, and now I saw the Masterworks coming out because they're reprinting it, and it's like £40, but then they collect only like 10 issues, I think.
Yeah, I think 10 issues.
Yeah,
possibly like, 12, but I think 10.
Yeah, so but omnibuses collects how many usually? Like what 20 something odd issues?
Usually 30 issues, I think.
Oh, there you go. So
25, 30.
40 pop, and you're like, oh my god, omnibus, double the omnibus. Sometimes
and the omnibus is bigger.
Yeah,
and I don't see any difference between the quality, but
yeah,
maybe it's more archival paper on those.
Yeah, on the omnibus, it feels like it is. Yeah.
I do have to say, just to warn you, if you do finally get a hold of it in some fashion, don't give up if the first few issues don't seem that good.
Oh, okay.
Because Marv Wolfman is the good writer, and he comes in, I can't remember on what issue, maybe issue 5 or 6.
Okay.
And then it takes him a while to warm up, and he creates a whole cast of characters and really gets things going.
Blade, yeah.
And Blade becomes one of those cast of characters.
And I really like the way the first appearance went, and I was looking for the second one. And the second one, when I was starting to think again, like, go to Tomb Raider, the Tomb of Dracula way to look for the back issues. And then the second appearance blew up because the first appearance is very expensive, so people buy second appearance. It's like, what the? We can't really go that road. Anyway, just wanted to because I've seen it. I know it's smaller size as well, and I think I've seen Jaden showing one of the Terrence's videos when he was probably you guys like long time ago. You had a video together because I remember you mentioning that as well about those things.
Yeah.
It's a pity because like omnibus is out of print. It's just like like when you miss the boat, you miss the boat. Like for anything now, it seems to be.
Yeah. Totally got to jump right on it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I have piles and piles of unread omnibuses now because I realized that I had to get them as soon as they went on sale. But I mean, it's like, when am I going to read them?
Well, the Goose saying that he bought it from Poland. Oh wow! And then he still had a copy.
Yeah, the postage probably is not too bad from Poland to you, right?
Yeah, it's just, as I say, it's just such a crazy thing. Then you have to go different route and go from somewhere else in, where you are and stuff like that. But anyway, just wanted to wonder. It's so popular now. I mean, everybody's mentioning Tomb of Dracula. It's like even Twitter is like, I don't know if you guys see that, but my Twitter is like just like, okay, forget about it. I don't want.
They're torturing you.
I haven't got it. Like I don't want.
It's one of those books that never seems to go away. It always kind of creeps up on the radar of people. Like the Moon Knight appearance in there, and the Blade, and like Doctor Strange appearances, and it just seems to always survive. Yeah.
Yeah, the Moon Knight appearance. I did the same what Damien said about Blade. So Moon Knight, just before it went, like 2 weeks before it went, like above. I was thinking to get one, and I saw one for £50, and I was like, "No, too expensive." And now it's £2,000. I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, nah, £50 is so a lot for one issue for first. I mean, I know it's first appearance, but blah blah blah. And I was like, £2,000. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, wow.
You should look into this. You should look into this.
Mm-hmm.
That seems dirt cheap, no? For shipping?
The post was €15.
Yeah, still, that's for 4 of them?
Those are heavy, incredible.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's good.
Wow, exactly. Yeah, just for they are like massive, like weight. It's
They're
like
huge and heavy, man. That seems really cheap for postage.
And exercise books, they are like your wrist is like, oh, I have carpal tunnel. Why?
Yeah.
Handling omnibuses all the time. Anyway,
well, I'm gonna have to go in a little bit. But I did want to say that Step by Bloody Step is worth looking into. It's a completely silent comic.
Oh, wow.
And it's really beautiful.
Fun to show.
I'm trying to find a... So, it's kind of visually feels like a European graphic novel or graphic album to me. And it takes a bit of work to figure out what's going on because there is no words. I kind of wish there were the occasional bit of dialogue here and there. But I'm really enjoying it, and it got even better with issue 2, I thought.
Who's doing it? Really? Image?
It's the story by Simon Spurrier, or Cy Spurrier, who's a British writer.
Yeah.
And the artist I hadn't heard of before, Mateus Bergara. I assume he's Spanish or Italian. And then the color is the color is really good by Matthias Lopez, who also does the coloring on that Supergirl right now. One with the art by Elvis Bilquis. Elquis Bilquis. I don't know. So it's kind of a visual treat. So for those of us who are really getting into the art,
nice.
I think it's worth picking up. It's cover price is $5, but it's twice as big as a regular Image comic, maybe even more. Or hopefully it'll come out in a large size hardback. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
Well, I can't even.
And it's a fantasy science fiction story. It's like, is this fantasy? Is it science fiction? I think it's going to turn out to be kind of all science fiction that just looked like fantasy at first.
Yeah, I can't even see the issue number 1. I'm looking. Oh wait, only Virgin variants, of course. Issue number 1. I'm looking at eBay.
Rick Ray is saying it's a little difficult for him to decipher, and I agree. And I was particularly frustrated with the first issue, but I felt the second issue was so good that it was worth the difficulty of trying to decipher. But it does seem the flaw of, if you're doing a completely just visual storytelling with no words, to not have the creator of the story be the artist. The artist might not care as much about every little detail as the writer might. So sometimes there'll be like a little panel where they're obviously trying to show you something, and I'm like, wait, what is that you're trying to show me? So it does have its frustrations, but I still think it's worth it. For me anyway, for the art.
Yeah,
and I think some people would like it.
Oh wow, okay. Sorry. I can't find the issue number 1 even on eBay. I mean, only Virgin variants.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned it in one of my previous comic reviews, but Heavy Metal Drummer
Mhm.
is pretty strong with issue 2. I really like that. You know, I
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
wondered. I enjoyed issue 1, but I thought, you know, maybe this will go nowhere. But it's a good horror comic along with that kind of underground vibe to it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it looks great. It looks like a lot of fun.
And
He's talking about the Spire. The Spire was great. That was the Spurrier one that I know as well too.
right, Spire was quite good, but that had words.
Yeah, it did,
But it also had a Euro comic vibe to it.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And,
you I
Rasta-
think on Twitter said this was a bit of a disappointment, and I agree with you.
Yeah, it wasn't that. Like, I thought it would be more fun than it turned out to be. The art is pretty great and the colors and stuff, but
Yeah.
it was.
But the story is not there.
Nah,
Mm.
it could have been
but-
goofier, sillier. I think it.
But
would
I
have been.
think I'm gonna get it, see how it goes. But also,
Yeah.
I just want to follow this artist. I checked out his website. I think he said something to me on Twitter or something, so I went to his website, and there was a lot of cool art there.
Yeah.
And so I'm just between these two comics, I'm wondering if we're going to get some kind of punky art movement coming out of Europe right now,
that would be
Mm.
which I'm kind of excited about.
Yeah.
Did you see what Goose says there in the chat, Rasa? This eBay
yeah.
or this Omnibuy,
Mhm.
you want to get on a list. That's the guy you want to get on a list with, Rasa.
Uh-huh.
You gotta check that shit out.
Yeah.
Got to get
Well,
Goose to get you on the list.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have the special permissions.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
You
how
gotta just-
you want it for cheap. You can't talk loud. You just secret messages, please.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, even the drunken sailor is already going like, me too, me too. eBay.
I guess Drunken Sailor may be in Europe also.
Yeah,
We have our own kayfabe effect going on.
yeah.
I get so frustrated with kayfabe, not just because they drive up the prices,
Yeah.
but often it's like, oh, that's something I was thinking of making a video on someday,
Yeah.
and now they've done it, and it's kind of like, well, everyone's watched that.
Right.
I might still eventually get to those things, but
Yeah.
it's something they just did recently that I've been meaning to do a video on for years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm interested, but I'm poor. Yeah, I'm poor already. It's just the beginning of my. Oh, so that's cheap, man. Oof, for euros.
Is that cheap? 103 euros? I guess that's less than cover price.
It goes for 160, 190. So.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is cheap.
Because the cover price in dollars is usually like 125, I think, or 130,
Okay.
50.
They upped the price now. All the like cheaper places I used to go for buying the omnibuses,
Mm-hmm.
they all upped the price by like £10. What it used to be, like whatever I used to find the prices, because I guess it's like omnibus is so popular now that whatever comes out, it's like the minute you like think about it, it's gone.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
You have to just
Too late.
go broke.
I order them the week they come out. and
Yeah.
Well,
otherwise, they're
That's the
gone.
only- it's like comic books, but it's like in a bloody giant format.
Right.
And then you have those people who's doing the videos, and they're like, "Oh, unboxing video," and they have this like giant, almost coffin-like size box to open. Omnibus is like, yeah, look at. I didn't miss that. You see, I didn't miss that. Like, just crazy, man.
Sturdy shelves you got to get there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I have some shelves that are starting to bow.
Really?
That's why people get
Not
calyx.
quite as extreme as I'm showing there, but I
Right,
can
right,
see
right.
a bow.
You know those IKEA calyx, those square ones.
Yeah.
They are like proper, like sturdy, because I have like a couple like squares used for my card covers, and they're looking okay. So because sometimes I look, and of course, my son tests my patience as well with my hardcovers, especially the DPRD hardcovers. I always like look to see, make sure that he doesn't touch it, because they're really out of stock and they're never gonna reprint them. It seems to be not
Yeah.
in hardcover edition anyway. And they are like they're really difficult, especially volume free. So it's a horrible thing if you want to get hold of it, like if you miss one volume of those hardcovers, because they are so beautifully done.
Yeah.
But you can't find them. Like it's just, you can, of course. I mean, if you're willing to be broke for a while,
Right. Yeah.
one, for that kind of stuff. So anyways, I was just wanted to talk about the Daredevil. I keep on going with this typhoid. I took a break.
I think I'm gonna have to head out, so
Right.
I'll watch as I get ready to pick up my daughter. But I'll see you guys
Later.
later.
All right, enjoy. Bye. Anyway, so yeah, I'm continue with this Anno Senti run, and it's really good. I mean, as I say, I have. Funny enough, I was thinking, like when you go through CLZ, just before I talk about comic books, you go check, you seem to have everything. You have like hope between this number to that, I have everything. Now as I reading it, it's like a gap. So after this issue 256, I don't have 257. And I was sure I had it, but I know why I don't have it, because there's a Punisher appears in that issue.
Oh, okay.
And that I know why I didn't get it, because it drove up price because of
Yeah.
Punisher TV series and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna have to have a look, but it's still continuing.
It's got to be dropped down in price now, though. Hey, since we're
think
well
so.
past that.
I mean, I didn't look. I honestly haven't looked yet, but now because I read it, I'm kind of curious to see. And anyway, Romita is doing really good job in here, and it just this first one, I can't stop smiling because the way he looks, the way he stands. I don't know if you. It's like looks like a a model like on the catwalk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just and then he has this like it's called blind spots, this particular storyline, and it's like just don't be so arrogant about it. And he looks like he's arrogantly standing, and then otherwise I'll have to take you in. It's like a copper, like he's standing like a police person. Anyway, it's still continuously great, and I really like this panel in particular, the way he portrays the character's face. It's just such a nicely done by one of the things I really like by Romita. It seems to be I'm becoming more and more fan reading this, because before I wasn't really kind of like, I mean, I liked Romita, but I definitely was fan of his dad's art rather than his. But now it's like reading this Daredevil series is growing on me. So anyway, so our Matt Murdock is being a cheat and a liar, and he's basically, of course, having to be, because he's being manipulated by the Typhoid Mary. She has that grass, that perfume. He's keep on saying he can't resist, and then but then he tells her, "Oh, I'm with this." Have Karen, she's my love, and then next thing he's kissing her. It's like, what the hell, dude? You don't have no control of yourself. But knowing Typhoid Mary, and also what I really enjoyed in this particular issue is that how she battles her own self, because she has split personalities, like almost the Moon Knight effect. Now you can say it for people to be actually recognize it. So basically, she gets like because she has this feelings now herself, like, so one of her personalities has feelings for Daredevil as well, for Matt, completely, like she's besotted by herself. But then she, something clicks in her, or situational things, or water drops on her face, she just realizes, and then she basically cleans herself, and then she becomes Typhoid. And Typhoid is absolutely different, as you know. But then this is what happens to her. She's like questioning herself as Mary, and then she's even writing for her own self, saying like, help myself, like you have to help, you can't give her the personality part. And I really like this cunning look of her, like the way Jar Jar draws. I think it looks very menacing. Anyway, so and then there was the most like bizarre situation, and I felt like it was true what his. So basically, Daredevil goes to see Foggy, because Foggy, apparently they don't talk, because whatever happens previously issue. So Matt loses his license, and Foggy is continuing to be a lawyer, but then he gets employed by Kingpin. So Daredevil shows up into his house, and Foggy is completely distraught and is thinking like, what the hell am I doing? I'm not talking to Matt anymore, blah, 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 but I'm working as a lawyer. And then he shows up and he's like, you know what? You know that you're working for Kingpin. Don't you know that you're supposed to like, check who you're working for? And it's giving him shit, basically. And Foggy's already feeling like crap. So his girlfriend in that time, I don't know who she's permanently in here, but she goes like and talks to Matt Murdock. Like, what the hell do you give him shit for? You're supposed to, if you are supposedly a friend, don't come here and then just like throw this kind of like bullshit at his face. And then what he does, Matt, to Foggy, is offering him a job, which is not paid well, but just to make him feel worse. And it's like, why are you making him worse? He's already feeling shit, like, don't just throw jobs at him, then making him feel even worse. So yes, it was nice to see that somebody gives like back to Matt, because Matt felt like really like bullying Foggy. It's kind of interesting because I never experienced this. And then
he's just dripping off of that page, hey, like that hairdo, the
Yeah.
shades, like it's insane.
Yeah. It looks like such. Yeah, so I said, so interestingly that Matt's, like you always feel like he is the hero in here, but sometimes when he shows that part of him, it's really kind of disturbing me. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, you proper like a kind of bully. If it doesn't work for you, even your friends, you don't afraid to tell them like whatever you want to tell them, kind of thing. So he doesn't have that kind of switch off thing. So he was like, it was jarring experience for him as well. But as I say, the typhoid part is such a beautifully well told. Like she just talks to this guy on the rooftop and she just smashes the statue away because she doesn't like the way he looks, because he looks too pretty for Typhoid Mary. So that was crazy. And of course, I absolutely love Kimpin the way he draws as well, because that you see, as you can see, that Kimpin drawn, it's really nice. It's so bulky and then menacing and big. It looks like he takes the space. And even in that panel where he's just talking,
Yeah.
He just looks massive, like how you supposed to have Kingpin, dude.
Yeah, totally.
And then Typhoid apparently has some effect on Kingpin as well, which is interesting, because she even affects that guy who is supposedly like unfazed by emotions at the end of the day, because he's that clever. Because he basically got pissed off at this guy who was next to Typhoid, and he just smashes the ashtray while she has a conversation, kind of sexual connotations towards him, and the Kingpin just smashes the ashtray. So anyway, really good things and scenes in. I think this is my favorites panels in generally, because it's in water, because they go to sewage and Daredevil thinks that Typhoid won't see it, so she won't be able to track him down and he will have an advantage.
Yeah.
Typhoid doesn't care, like she can sense him, and then there's flashlights and it's like looks like fireworks, which I was a bit confused. Is that another power she has, or am I missing something? Because I thought she just goes like in your brain kind of thing. That's her way of swooing people away.
Right.
Anyway, but beautifully done. I think it's, as I say, the JR is doing really well. And this looks fantastic. It looks very much moving, like he's tackling Typhoid, and it looks really nice the way the tackle happens. Very nice. I don't know. Maybe it was on a good day of his drawing, I guess. I don't know. But in generally, I think it's great to do this kind of stuff, and it looks really nice. And Al Williamson, it seems to be, when he's inking JR, it looks really good. It seems to be that's kind of inker for him. Anyway, the story goes in, and then the case has been won, and Kingpin has to pay all the dues. So in a way, it's actually a win for them. But of course, there is Typhoid we have to deal with, and she's still back around, so I'm not sure. And the advertisement for the next issue, that's the one. And that's why I didn't get it on the time, because of, I guess, the time I was looking for to getting an issue was that TV show was coming out. Right. And yeah, I never got hold of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's dropped in price now. I can't imagine it's expensive anyway.
So this is from 1988 and it's issue 256. Yeah, really good. Even the cover is beautifully done. Even the coloring, the way they did in different colors. But that scene, all of it in here, I think is extremely strong points. Like, look at the Daredevil like dripping, and it just looks like really absolutely knackered. Like it's like he doesn't understand what's happening with this woman. And yeah, it's really nicely done. And Ann Nocenti is really like driving the story well. And yeah, so far I have a conclusion, but I don't have that other issue, which is really drives me crazy. Mm-hmm. The conclusion is, I think it's 280. Which one? 260. So, and it's giant size issue as well.
Oh, that's right.
Of the storyline. But yeah. If you haven't read this Ann Nocenti stuff, it's really good. When you get into it, it's just you want more.
Yeah, every time we chat and you talk about it, I sit here and think, why haven't I read those issues? I've got them. I just
Yeah.
still haven't read all of them. I
Mhm.
went up to a certain spot and I just stopped and kind of filled, because it took a while to fill in some of those gaps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've really got to get back into it and read that chunk.
Yeah. It's nice that you have the hardcover. They do produce quite a few now, recent ones in Epic edition. So if you haven't read Epic editions, I think they have Anno Senti Run. I think should be in print as far as I am remembering seeing it. But yeah.
I feel like those ones stay in print. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they're around.
Yeah, but it's nice to like people talk about it, like you collect a character book here, and people talk about good things about it, and then like you say you don't. But I just had to one day, I won Daredevil, so just randomly picked out of collection and just okay, this is curious because I like Anno Senti's run, so why didn't I have even started reading it? But since I started it, I know why. It's really nicely the way the mental break of Daredevil I really like, because how Typhoid is using his, even though he's blind and he has all this radar, but his radar is fucked up next to her. He's like, he can't control it. He doesn't understand what's going on. So it's really vulnerable. And she's just toying with him really well. And it's a pity I think in the TV series they tried to attempt, or was it a movie? TV series. They tried to attempt Typhoid Mary and they ruined it. Like it didn't feel like she had that much grasp as the comic book portrays it, because it looks like she's completely in control. Of course, she's crazy because she has split personality. But that Mary side comes out and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry for her. And then Typhoid comes out like, oh my God, she's proper evil. So, the Jekyll and Hyde situation, I guess. Yeah. So it really works.
Do you try to limit to reading one a week, or when you're going back and doing these, or do you just kind of
I limit quite a lot, because I just wanted to. What I try to do as well is making like almost like a pull list kind of thing. So I take out one issue, read in 1 week, take a break. Even sometimes I take a break from that week after as well, and then pick up. And it just it gives you more like excitement when you do this kind of way reading. And I was wanted to tell while Damien was there, was saying like my pull list. I'm purging my pull list again. I decided I'm going to have only 4 new books per month. Because I know my collection is staring at me. I was like, why not? Like just pull one out, just read, enjoy. It's very entertaining. It's primal example like these books like that, which makes it a very entertaining to do that.
It's also a pretty good idea to like go to the collection and do like your weekly pull list from the boxes and just put them out. I think that's a pretty good way to do it.
Yeah, always, like you open it now when you have drawers, it's easy. Like when you have boxes, it was a bit more like tutor. Like, you have to lift it, you have to open it, then you go with a drawer. You just
so great.
Open, take it out, there you go, you enjoy it. So
yeah,
it's beautiful. So yeah, there you go. This says Nathan is one, especially JR's like a criminal underrated goes to Toto. Yeah, I think it does, to be honest. But it's each for our own. I think she isn't celebrated enough because of, I guess, Miller is groundbreaking because he changed the character to what we know now, and that's why he gets all the accolades. And then Nocenti continues really good work after that, which is not surprising, I guess, at the end of the day, because a lot of people are talking about after reading it. And yeah, as I say, I'm looking forward to. I'm probably gonna have to hunt that 267 because it's gonna bother me, because I want to know. I want to end the story to actually find out the end of the proper written way, because I kind of have an idea how it ended, but I just want to read it, like properly.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
And
you gotta hunt it down. You gotta find it.
Yeah. So before we leave, I watched the Spider-Man movie.
Oh yeah.
Finally, because when digital, so of course it's easier to get hooked to actually be not going to cinemas, which I don't do anymore. Love it. Absolutely loved it.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah, but I still think Tobey Maguire is still the best Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just a fan of his first one because he's the first Spider-Man. I mean, don't get me wrong. Garfield is perfect. He's really good for that storyline as well. And even there, those moments between 3 of them, fantastic.
They were it was really, really well done. I thought that was such a good idea.
Yeah.
pull them all in and do that storyline. Really
All
smart.
the previous characters coming in, Doc Ock, and then the what is that? The oh my god, why I'm blanking? Scarecrow? No, not Scarecrow. What am I
Green
talking about?
Goblin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's such a good actor. I keep on
Yeah,
forgetting the
so
name.
good.
of it. He is so good. He has those split personality things, like imagine him being a Joker.
Yeah.
But I mean, just saying, like, because I think there was a talks with him as well, but he never did it. But
Okay.
Jesus, he would be terrifying. I think he would.
No, he's fantastic. He's great.
Yeah, and he would take to another level.
He's got a creepy look already to some degree.
Yeah.
So, like, he's an unusual looking dude.
Yeah, and then the way he says, like, you feel really guilty or like you feel sorry for him, and then suddenly he just turns and is absolutely evil, and it's like, oh. Yeah, but yeah, if people haven't watched the Spider-Man, it's really good. It's such a beautifully well done, like, because to mesh all three of them and in such a way that it's fairly entertaining and getting all those other previous villains coming in fruition, and even the Electro, they fixed Electro.
Yeah. Yeah.
From being a blue something to proper Electro, where you like really menacing. And yeah, it was so funny. We were laughing because we were saying, "What? No more blue! Thank God!"
Yeah.
Me and my husband were like absolutely like honestly properly enjoying a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah,
Like,
we all loved it. We went as a family to the theater to see it, and we all loved it. Like Lillian loved it as well. Like it was just a really, really such a good one. We've been watching. We watched the Doctor Strange trailer again. I've watched it like 4 or 5 times now because I'm really getting excited to see that sucker as our next theater experience there. Right?
So is it coming out this month? No, next month.
It comes out in May. Yeah, next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so they saying that O'Neill ran after Millis. Oh, I see. Because I love Danny O'Neill's writing, and generally I like all the Batman stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, and then Miller. So okay. And then Nocenti, yeah, and then yeah, Toby is the dude. Yeah, just the way he was. You felt so calm, out of all 3 of the actors. He felt chill. He knew exactly what he's doing. He just seems to be so because he's aged. Okay, everybody, you can kind of sense that as well from him, but it just felt like, yeah, this is the Spider-Man.
That's right. Yeah, he's grown into himself, kind of thing. He's grown into his skin to some degree.
Yeah.
Well, and that's that Holland does so well. He has that. He acts like that teenage kid, and still a bit sloppy and still a bit kind of wild and everything. He plays that part really, really well.
So one thing is very surprising. So Andrew Garfield, is that his name? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, so he did, the BBC in UK, that's BBC Six Music Radio. So he was he was a DJ, and we by chance, we were listening to his show. So you can also, I don't know, they always record everything. I'm surprised his music taste, and it's beautiful. I mean, me and my husband were absolutely spot on, good music. And the way he talks, really nice. So I highly recommend to anybody who wants to know a guy a bit better. It shows his personality as a human first, not an actor, but he through music and his life, how he went through and stuff like that. He talks quite a bit about everything else. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that because it just reminds me. It just made an actor look a little bit better, I guess, because kind of you get to know better of him. But I like this Spider-Man.
They're all fucking weirdos, so it's nice to see a little bit of human trait. In these
yeah, exactly. But yeah, honestly, it felt like your go-to guy, like normal, like the person you go in the in England, example, you go to the pub and have a chat. Kind of felt like that.
Yeah,
really much. So he's a very grounded person. So yeah, highly recommend if you can get hold of his chat on the BBC Music.
I'm sure you can stream it on BBC. I'm sure.
Yeah, just type his name and BBC Music next to it, and maybe you'll pop up. But it's really good. Listen, we and my husband. So you drive, you listen to radio, just half-heartedly. Listen to a song. You like the song, you perk up, and then you stop. But this one, we were like my husband's like, "Where are we going?" He's concentrating on what he's listening. It's like, dude, you have to drive, for God's sake. You can't just switch off. We're 3 of us sitting. You have to make sure you sit like you drive. So Yeah, but we were like completely like tuned in. It made
Yeah.
that trip really nice. So
Oh,
I
that's
think
good.
we
That's cool.
were driving somewhere quite a distance, so we just went in the right time. So
Yeah.
anyway, just to mention.
Yeah, no, awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's it, I guess. We have.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, Goose, thank you very much for all the info and thank you for getting in touch. Also, Dennis run on Ironman. Oh, Ironman is one thing I always neglect to read. Demon in the Bottle is one of my favorite stories because almost the only thing I have of his. It's really well written. Very popular, of course. I bought it because I thought, like I got that key edition because he's drinking in the comic book,
Right.
and apparent or completely drugged and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Great show. You always teach me about many writers and artists. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Miss So. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Hopefully we'll tune up next week for your comic therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So I knew why I was saying that. The bottle is O'Neill's writing.
Okay.
Figures. Anyways.
And then
All right.
AFPC is saying that it might not be, though.
Oh. Okay.
Not
Anyway.
O'Neill. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, no. Okay, cool. Anyway, thank you, people, for turning up. Thank you very much. And then we'll see you soon. Bye.
Later.
Bye-bye. Awkward moment.